you son of a bitch. Cause Punch Drunk loves you.
Get ready to rumble!
Yeah, you already know this is Punch Drunk Boxing, aka Mr. Moonshine himself, aka El Adobo, aka El Sazón, aka El Borracho, aka Café Bustelo, aka El Pastor de Boxeo. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you at this side of heaven. God bless you all. Happy Father's Days. Happy Father's Day for the fathers out there that's doing their thing, man. Molded, provided, loving their children. Shout out to those who took the responsibility of those fathers. And a big F you to those fathers that never took care of their kids. I shouldn't even call them fathers. Deadbeats. The F you to the deadbeats. The F you to the deadbeats. Shout out to everybody. Hope everybody having a good Sunday and stuff like that. Yes, we had a great a good turnout in Madison Square Garden, the theater. The junior IBF undefeated junior welterweight champion, aka Africa, aka Hitchins, beating the former undisputed lightweight champion of the world, George Kambosos from Australia. He couldn't duplicate what he did the last time he did perform in Madison Square Garden in the theater, when he did have a split decision victory over Teofimo Lopez. And I think now it has cemented. He has cemented that hit wonder of this generation. If he would have beaten Richardson Hitchins, I think that one hit wonder would have never come to play in his career. He never would have had that tag. All he needed was one legitimate credible win, and he never would have been labeled as a one hit wonder. But shout out to George Kambosos. He did fight the fight. He did go after the guy, the best fighters in that respective division, which he was campaigning. He did fight Devin Haney right after the split decision victory over Teofimo Lopez. Then he had the rematch. Then he did fight Maxie Hugh. Maxie Hugh, who I've been pumping for a long time. But shout out to Maxie Hugh. I believe that he got robbed. And then he went to fight Vasily Lomachenko when Vasily Lomachenko stopped him. He had a interim fight versus somebody that we really don't know. He really did. It wasn't an overwhelming performance, and he just didn't have great momentum going into the Richardson Hitchison fight. And I think that, you know what, he still was living in the bubble in the clouds of when he had that split decision victory over Teofimo Lopez. And I know that the butt of the joke has been Teo losing to George Kambosos, but the thing is, George Kambosos never been the same after Teofimo Lopez. It's always people looking at Teofimo Lopez like, oh, you lost to George Kambosos. You lost to George Kambosos. But at the end of the day, what has George Kambosos Jr. done after that split decision victory? So at the end of the day, if we really now that he's not going to be the butt of the joke, now we see who was in the ring last night. And shout out to Teofimo Lopez and shaking George Kambosos' hand, because at the end of the day, he stepped inside the ring regardless how he felt unhealthy going inside that fight 4 years ago. At the end of the day, you still step inside that ring. You still got to give George Kambosos credit for taking care of his business. You understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah, at the end of the day, man, it was a good thing. It was good seeing both of these guys shake hands and things of that nature. Hopefully they put that shit behind them and move forward. I know Teofimo Lopez have moving forward. 6 straight wins ever since he moved up to the junior welterweight division, the same division that Richardson Hitchins has been campaigning. Now he's a champion. Teofimo Lopez is the king of the division with the lineal champion belt, beating Josh Taylor, who was the undisputed in the junior welterweight and was undefeated at the time. And, you know, I think that's a great matchup in which we're going to be talking about. But shout out to Richardson Hitchins. Great outing. He displayed what the sweet science is. You know what I'm saying? He displayed what the sweet science truly is. You feel me? Shout out to Low Nose Boxing in the building. We're good, Low Nose Boxing. Leave it on in the bottom. He said, yo, because Gary got a title shot off a loss, he still has Puello problems and needs that get back if Puello beats Subriel. We're going to be talking about Gary Antuanne Russell. We're going to be talking about that fight, because I think that everybody is not trying to. People are acting like Gary Antuanne Russell don't exist. Shout out to Trey. Good looking out, Gates, man. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you, my brother. Yeah, we're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about that the boogeyman in the 140-pound division is Gary Antuanne Russell. And it seems like the media, the independent media, we saw, ain't nobody was talking about Gary Antuanne Russell. We ain't hear no post-fight interview. What about the unification between Gary Antuanne Russell, Teofimo Lopez? Why is people avoiding the name Gary Antuanne Russell? I want to know why. And I see the comparison. I see because you know what? His contemporary know who the hell he is. Teofimo Lopez know who Gary Antuanne Russell is, a.k.a. Tweezy. Richardson Hitchins know exactly who Gary Antuanne Russell is. Boots Ennis know exactly who Gary Antuanne Russell is. And everybody in the boxing world know exactly who Gary Antuanne Russell is. And I want to know why. Why is the name Gary Antuanne Russell has been slipping under the rug every time there's in the 140-pound division? The media don't want to talk about it. The media don't want to write about it. Boxing content creators don't want to talk about it. Shout out to Mills, said he always have the Russells over there. But why is it that the guy that all his contemporaries know are avoiding to say the name Gary Antuanne Russell? He is a champion. When we talk about unification, we talk about Richards and Hitchins and Haney, Richards and Hitchins and Teo, Richards and Hitchins and Shakur, Richards and Hitchins and Keyshawn, Teofimo Lopez Haney, Teofimo Lopez Ryan, Teofimo Lopez Tank, Teofimo Lopez Shakur, Teofimo Lopez Keyshawn, Teo Boots Virgil, Ryan Ortiz, Boots Ortiz, Tank Shakur, Tank Davis, Keyshawn Davis, Keyshawn Tokor, Lomachenko retire. And we've been talking about everybody, but it seems the name that everybody knows, Gary Antuanne Russell, it seems like they doing the same thing they doing to Gary Russell Jr. now, what they did to the Olympian Demetrius Andre years and years ago. I see it. Y'all know I support heavily Teofimo Lopez, but Teo don't talk about Tweezy that much. Richardson Hitchins don't talk about Tweezy that much. Boots Ennis, the kryptonite of Boots Ennis is Gary Antuanne Russell. They don't talk about Gary Antuanne Russell. Jermaine Ortiz don't talk about Gary Antuanne Russell. And I want to know why this community has avoided the name, has avoided the matchup, Gary Antuanne Russell versus Teo, Gary Antuanne Russell versus Hitchins, Gary Antuanne Russell versus Boots, Gary Antuanne Russell versus Tank, Gary Antuanne Russell versus Keyshawn. I want to know why everybody is acting like you don't know who the F Gary Antuanne Russell is. And if you are a hardcore boxing fan in America, you know exactly who the Russell family is. You know who's Antonio. You know who Gary Russell Jr. You know who's Gary Antuanne Russell. Rest in peace, Father's Day, Gary Russell Sr. Why in the hell is people trying to avoid the speed, the power, the notoriety, the accomplishment, the man that was number one in America, Gary Antuanne Russell? I want to know why. Why? Is he not talking shit? Shout out went to Gary Russell Sr. When he was alive, he wasn't boisterous like Bill, like Senior, like the other fathers in the sport of boxing. You want him to talk shit? You want to spit at somebody's face? You want him to slap somebody like Caitlin Plant did Harlow? Why is nobody talking about, hold on. Maybe you don't know how he looked like. Maybe I don't know how he looked like. Why people are reluctant to say this man's name? Anybody in the chat? Is he a champion? He's not even a draw punch according to today's standard. No. We don't want to hear that. Savage in the building. We don't want to hear that. Why this name keeps not being avoided? We talking about the 140-pound division. We just finished watching Richardson Hitchins. He's calling out Devin Haney, but Devin Haney's in the 147-pound division. Teofimo Lopez stepped beside the ring. But this man is a champion. And everybody know who he is. Low Nose Boxer said, Gary is a problem. He's athletic. He has power. He has Grenade chin. Rayo hitting with bombs. And Antuanne didn't even blink. Oh, yeah. People talking about the loss. Who gives a damn? Everybody got a loss. Ryan got a loss. Devin got a loss. Teo got a loss. Richards and Hitchins. We seen vulnerability before the Liam Paru loss. Matias loss. A lot of people feel like Tank loss. You know what I'm saying? Keyshawn Day, everybody, all these names, but yeah, Gary Antuanne Russell lost, but he got his win back. Now he's a champion. I want to know why nobody want to mention this guy's name. I think this is a promotion's fall punch. I don't know that. I can't say that, big time grind. You know why? Because this is the community of boxing. Forget about the promoters. We watch boxing. We don't need a promoter to tell us who Gary Antuanne Russell is. We don't need a promoter to tell us, oh, Gary Antuanne Russell was a champion. We don't need to know that. We're the hardcore boxing fans. We the one that promote it. We the one that should be talking about this. I want to know why. And I'm going to tell you why. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you why. Hold on. Let me take this thing out of the way. I'm going to tell you why. And I know in this community, I know in this community is way more narratives than actual boxing talk. Oh, yeah, but this is boxing talk right now. This is straight up boxing talk. No drama, no gimmick, no narrative, no debunks. This is straight up boxing talk right here. Why the F is Gary Antuanne Russell is being blackballed with how you say it? With commentators, televised boxing commentators, not mentioning his name not once in the event that you got the 140-pound division on and a fighter, a champion on display. They doing the same thing, and I see it, and I know y'all gonna hate what I'm about to say. Y'all going to hate it because I know in this community it's not a lucrative content. It's not a lucrative name, but I see this. I saw it before, and I'm seeing it again. They're treating Gary Antuanne Russell like they was treating Demetrius Andre. You know why? Because just like Americans love to give foreigners all the credit in what they did in the amateurs. Vasily Lomachenko, Alexander Usyk. Look at yesterday. The Garden was electrifying. They love Andy Cruz. Matter of fact, we shame Keyshawn Davis for Andy Cruz in this community. You know why? Because what Andy Cruz did in the amateurs. See, when we talk about foreign fighters, we always talk about what they did in the amateurs. We always praise the Rigondeaux. We always praise the Joy Joyce. We always praise the Alexander Usyk. We always was praising Bivol and Beterbiev and what these guys did in the amateurs. But when it comes to American fighters, we never praise what they did in the amateurs. And this the reason is, but if we do our due diligence and we do our job and we praise our American fighters, what they did in the amateurs, like Javante Tan Davis fought almost 250 amateur bouts. Like Teofimo Lopez was an Olympian that won the USA Olympic trials, and he fought for Hondurans. Deontay Wilder brought the bronze medal to USA, but what we do here in America, we don't give him credit. He don't know how to box. He don't know how to fight, like Teddy Atlas says, but he brought the bronze medal to USA. Why in America we don't give credit to the amateurs, to the prestige amateurs that beating everybody around the world? We don't give credit to the American. We hate our own. And it could be American Latino, it could be black. We hate our own and give all the love to the foreign fighters. The reason why they don't want to mention Gary Antuanne Russell is because of this. Give me 1 second. It's because of this. It's because of this. It's because of this. Now, hold on, let me take this thing out of the way. It's because of this. Yeah, this is Gary Antuanne Russell in the amateurs. He was beating the hell out of Jerome Bruce Ennis. Oh, yeah, the man in the 147-pound division. The guy that could beat everybody. Gary Antuanne Russell was beating Jerome Bruce Ennis left and right all his career when he was young. He's the kryptonite. When I did a video years ago, I said that Gary Antuanne Russell was the kryptonite to Jerome Bruce Ennis, but nobody wanted to listen. He beat Richardson Hitchins. Nobody want to listen. He beat Jermaine Ortiz. Nobody want to listen. He beat Abraham Nova. Nobody want to listen. This man has been a force to be reckoned with his whole life. But now nobody want to talk about it. They're treating him like they was treating Demetrius Andre. The reason why nobody wants to fight Gary Antuanne Russell is because his temporaries know exactly who the fuck he is. He's a force to be reckoned with. The reason why you never heard Tank talk shit about Gary Antuanne. The reason why you never heard Boots talk shit about Gary Antuanne. The reason why you never heard Teo talk shit about Gary Antuanne. The reason you never heard Richardson Hitchins talk shit about Gary Antuanne. The reason why you could spike the nerves of the Haneys when they mention Gary Antuanne Russell's name. Because in this country, Gary Antuanne Russell was the man. Have you heard any fighter truly disrespect Gary Antuanne Russell? Never. Never. Almost the same thing with Demetrius Andre. Unless if it wasn't the Jamel Charlo back and forth because there could have been a fight lined up or Canelo Alvarez. Ask any gym. Go to any trainer in boxing. Forget about the YouTube. Forget about IG. Forget about TikTok. Go to every mother effing gym. Talk to every fighter within the 2016 class and tell them about Gary Antuanne Russell. And all of them will be humbly and tell you how good he is. Why we ain't talking about this? Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about Jerome. We were talking about, hold on, let me take this thing out of the way. Hold on. Let me take this thing out of the way. Smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Yo, this is real boxing talk right here. Huh? Or y'all want to go to some other channels and talk about why this ain't happening? He said this. He tweeted this. He tweeted that. His daddy said this. His mama said this. All these narratives. Now, this is straight up hardcore boxing talk. Let's be real. These guys are reluctant to mention the name Gary Antuanne Russell. And I love the call out. I love Richardson Hitchins and how he performed yesterday. He implemented and displayed the sweet science, not that running shit. He displayed what the sweet science is all about. Working behind the jab, beautiful cross right, and then boom with the counter left hook to the body. Beautiful. But why are we acting like Gary Antuanne Russell's not a champion? Like if Demetrius Andre wasn't a champion in the 154-pound division and Canelo Alvarez was the number one ranked, but he went to fight Kirkland instead of Demetrius Andre. But nobody gave him slack because they knew who Demetrius Andre was. It was beating everybody, to Danny, to Keith Thurman, to Charles Hatley, to Porter. He was beating all these guys. He was the number one guy in the country, just like Gary Antuanne Russell was the number one guy in the country. Richardson Hitchins called out Devin Haney. Richardson Hitchins called out Teo. Why Richardson Hitchins doesn't call out the man that is the sole reason why you couldn't go to the Olympics? Hold on, let me take this thing out of the way so y'all can see. Smash that like button. You want boxing talk? 2016 Rio Olympics, Nico Hernandez, Antonio Vargas, Shakur Stevenson, Michele Mayer, Carlos Valderas, Gary Antuanne Russell, Clarissa Shields, Charles Conwell. Gary Antuanne Russell. Why is Gary Antuanne Russell went to the Olympics? Hold on. Let me remind y'all, folks. I just gotta remind y'all. Hitchins failed to make the USA Olympic team in 2016 because Gary Antuanne Russell earned the spot. Hitchins, though, did not miss the Olympics. He was eligible for and qualified to represent Haiti. Gary Antuanne Russell bumped him. The draw did him no favors as he met Russell in the first round and dropped a 3-0 decision. He got beaten up by Gary Antuanne Russell for the Olympic to win so he could go to the Olympics. Gary Antuanne Russell beats Richardson Hitchins, and then in the Olympics, the first round is facing Haiti, and Gary Antuanne Russell beats Richardson Hitchins again. Now let me ask you a question, folks. Who the fuck is the champions in the 140-pound division, and why the fuck did we saw a whole telecast yesterday and nobody cared to mention the name Gary Antuanne Russell versus Richardson Hitchins? We talk about Keyshawn Davis and Keyshawn Davis versus Andy Cruz as rivalries in the amateurs. We talk about Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia as rivalries in the amateurs. We talked about this before. But why y'all scared to mention this rivalry? Why nobody likes to mention this rivalry? Hold on. Let's keep on reading, folks. Y'all already know it. Pastor will say it. Hold on. Gary Antuanne Russell was the last of 4 fighting Russells, a boxing bloodline streaming with major amateur and professional accomplishment that included everything but an Olympic victory, with his father hollering from the stands. Russell changed his family fortune and continued the USA team stunning role through the Olympic tournament with unanimous decision victory on Monday. Once the Russell disposed of fellow American Richardson Hitchins, representing Haiti, he became the only fighter through the first 100 bouts of the Rio Games to hop and rail and climb into the stands to find mom and dad. Why the hell is nobody talking about Gary Antuanne Russell? Why in the boxing community they're afraid to say the name Gary Antuanne Russell? I don't want to hear he's not promoted well. I don't want to hear, well, he with PBC. I don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear none of that. Why in this community, in the YTBC, in YouTube boxing, in Twitter, go to Twitter right now and put Richardson Hitchins. And all you're going to see, Richardson Hitchins versus Teo. Richardson Hitchins versus Devin. Richardson Hitchins going back and forth with Gervonta Davis on my chain. I gave him my chain, all that. And Keyshawn Davis. Why they don't mention Richardson Hitchins versus Gary Antuanne? Teofimo versus Gary Antuanne. Gary Antuanne versus Jerome Boots Ennis. I've been talking about this fight and nobody want to listen. I've been talking about this fight, and I said that, man, Gary Antuanne Russell may move to the 147-pound division. Nobody wanted to talk about that. This guy was beating all these guys left and right. I just want to bring this to the forefront. Let me take this thing out of the way. They scared to talk about Andy. Man, let's talk about Gary Antuanne Russell, man. Talking about Gary Antuanne Russell. Shout out to Richardson Hitchins again. Yesterday, great victory. Teofimo Lopez jumped in the ring. This is a fight that could be made, a unification, but I believe that this is the primary fight in the 140-pound division. But even Teo and Richardson Hitchins know Gary Antuanne Russell very well. Very well. Teofimo Lopez came up with the Russells. Teofimo Lopez trained with the Russell family. Teo knows the Russells very well. Gary Russell, Gary Antuanne Russell, Antonio, the whole brothers, the whole family. Rest in peace. Again, Gary Russell Sr. Everybody be like, yo, Teofimo Lopez got a black style. Yo, he fight like a black dude. Well, Teofimo Lopez came up with the Russells as well. Richardson Hitchins know who Teo is. Teo know who Richardson Hitchins is. Richardson Hitchins know exactly who Jerome Boots Ennis is. Jerome Boots Ennis used to be Richardson Hitchins in the amateurs. But Gary Antuanne Russell used to beat both Richardson Hitchins and Jerome Boots Ennis. How many times you heard them say in the professional level, yo, Boots, would you ever want to fight Gary Antuanne Russell again? Nobody asked the question. In the post-fight interview, did he say, do you want to have a unification bout with Gary Antuanne Russell? Now, I like to see that fight as well. I like to see this fight. Hold on. Richardson Hitchins, it is his night. He called out Devin Haney, called him the N-word, called him the P-word. called him the P word. Gary Antuanne versus Hitchins is it's great. It's great. It's like what we like to hype up. Why do we want to see Keyshawn Davis versus Andy Cruz? Tell me in the chat. Why we want to see that fight? Why do we always talk about Keyshawn versus Andy Cruz? If it's not Keyshawn versus whoever else, but since Keyshawn became a professional, the name that he hears the most is Andy Cruz. Why do we want to see Keyshawn Davis versus Andy Cruz? Anybody in the chat? Help me out. Papa Cruz, el papá de Keyshawn Davis. Why we want to see it? Because history. So why we not calling for the same fight? Why we not calling for Gary Antuanne Russell and Richardson Hitchins? Why we not calling for that fight? Why the boxing world don't like to call for boots Gary Antuanne Russell? Ross said you don't want to see it. You don't want to see Gary Antuanne Russell versus Hitchins? I think Gary Antuanne Russell beats Richardson Hitchins. I think he beats Richardson Hitchins. And I think is the reason why. I'm not saying it won't be a good fight. I'm not saying it won't be a good fight. I think Gary Antuanne Russell beats Richardson Hitchins. It should be Shakur versus Cruz. Just like Tank versus Roach. Why exactly? Thank you, my brother. Oh, Gracie, I'm sorry. I don't know. Gracie. Thank you, my sister, my brother. The same reason with Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamar Roach. Why it was competitive. Because they have amateur history. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, amateur history. Russell performed scared everyone. I know. Fight Fury Films. Yep, you're absolute. Russell performance scared everyone. It's not even that he scared everyone. Only is that they know him. They don't want to mention his name. The same thing that's happening to Gary Antuanne Russell. It happened to Demise Andre because they were so good in the amateurs. Everybody knows who they are. See that this was and Jackie Hernandez la reina de boxeo said, "Hey Punch, happy Father's Day to you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Happy Father's Day to everybody, man. That's doing their thing, man." And shout out to the fathers that have been taking care of somebody else's responsibilities. Shout out to those men as well. And shout out to the mothers that has to play both mommy and daddy. And shout out to the daddies that have to play both mommy and daddy. He did lose su Puello in a close one, but come back and beat Rayo. It don't matter. See, you know what I like about this era, though, J Love? You know what I like about this era? That everybody lost. I think that's the blessing of this era that we seen. We seen Tio lose. We all know that Tank lost to Lamar Roach. We see Lamar Roach lost. The only one that really didn't have no fumble, didn't have that still looked like, yo, he's still unbeatable, that nobody has matched him, has been Shakur Stevenson. That's the only guy that's looked like, shit, ain't nobody coming close to beating this guy, to outboxing this guy. Regardless if you're a fan of Shakur Stevenson or not, Shakur Stevenson's the only one that's been performing like Diablo, man. Even in the De Los Santos, even in the Eder De Los Santos fight, when both of them ain't doing nothing, but still he managed to have Eder De Los Santos only landing 37 punches, 38 punches, the less punch landed in a 12-round bout in the history of copy box. Was in the history of 38, 40 years. Boots, I'm not gonna say that he's been in a close fight, but with Karen, but he needed a rematch, Karen. You know what I'm saying? We seen Gary Antuanne Russell lose. We seen Devin Haney lose. We seen Ryan Garcia lose. We seen again Tio. We seen Tank. We seen all these guys have Keyshawn Davis having lost, but you know what I'm saying, he did lose his title over whatever hiccup. They ever boxing now. Everyone use excuse. The 140-pound division is very tough now. Pacquiao, they all lost, so who cares? Matias lost. Liam Paro lost. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just talking about their I'm talking about the 2016 class. I'm talking about their class. That's why I I always talked about the 2008 class. That's one of my favorite class. You know what I'm saying? With the Demetrius Andre, Keith Thurman, Gary Russell, Deontay Wilder, Saddam Ali, Rashid Warren. I believe that Rashid Warren was probably one of the best right there. I've been a fan of Gary Russell Jr. ever since because that's my favorite class. That's my favorite class. But my other favorite class has been, put it this way. The 2008 class to me was like the 1996 class in the NBA to me. The 1996 class is the best class. Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, Kobe Bryant, Stephon Marbury. That's the best class to me. The 2008 class was the best class to me, right? Now, the 2016 class is what the 2003 class is to me in the NBA, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade. You feel me? That for me, that's the 2016 class. Teofimo, Shakur Stevenson, Ryan Garcia, Gary Antuanne, Boots Ennis. You know what I'm saying? Charles Conwell. Who else? Who else that class? You had Devin, you had Teo, you had Ryan, you had Virgil Ortiz, you had Jermaine Ortiz, Richardson Hitchins, Jerome Boots Ennis, Gary Antuanne. Who else? Who else is that class? Even in the amateurs, Virgil Ortiz lost to Ryan Garcia. Why you don't see even Virgil Ortiz won't even talk shit about Ryan Garcia because Ryan Garcia beat him. Devin, Teo, Hitchins, Tank all fought harder fights than Shakur. Fact, I don't know about that. Low nose boxing, I don't know about that. If we keep it in the time frame, because I see, this is the problem with us boxing fans, that they fight the best, and then the guy goes out and doesn't do good, and it looks like it doesn't age well. We can't put that. Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez was the best fight in the best. That's why it was for a lineal title. Remember, Oscar Valdez beat who was the boogeyman, the best guy, the number one guy in the super featherweight division was Miguel Berchelt. Everybody thought that Miguel Berchelt was going to beat Oscar Valdez. So when Oscar Valdez faced, and the thing is also, people forget about Kambosos. Who was Kambosos back in the days? Kambosos was in that. Matter of fact, put it this way: you're talking about the 2016 class. Kambosos was ranked top 3 in the world. Shakur Stevenson beat Kambosos, and this is what it is. This is why I give a lot of credit, and I want people to keep it real, keep it honest. That's why I have a boxing channel. That's why, people could give me props and breaking things down. The problem with American boxing fan in this community is that y'all don't follow the amateurs like that. The American fans have lost interest in following the amateurs. So now when I talk about, thank you, Kambosos was the man. Kambosos in 2016 was the man. So when you hear Shakur Stevenson beating Kambosos and Oscar Valdez arguably beat Kambosos arguably beat Ushaki Foster, that was a great win. Is that y'all don't know who Kambosos is. A matter of fact, in Puerto Rico, who was top 3 ranked in the world? The dude that killed his baby, his mistress, what's his name? Felix Verdejo. Felix Verdejo was top 3 in the world of boxing and the amateurs as well. The 2016 class was no joke, bro. The 2016 class was no joke. I give credit to the amateurs because in the end of the day, if you really understand boxing, these guys, Teo, Shakur, Gary Antuanne Russell, guys like that fought world games. They travel around the world, bro. They was beating guys around the world. Just like we give credit to Loma and we give credit to these other, they was beating guys all over the world. These guys was traveling all over the world. These guys was already fighting guys in Russia, fighting guys in Germany, fighting in the Caribbean, fighting all these guys. These are the thing is, y'all not paying attention to them. Y'all not paying attention to them. He said, facts, I don't watch amateurs. I'm 24 years old. Watch the amateurs. So this is when you know, oh shit, he gonna be nice. what you see in the professional level, especially in the first 15, 20 fights, they fighting their amateur skill set. That's why I always say, that's why I say, yo, Teofimo Lopez is going to outbox Vasily Lomachenko. Motherfuckers thought I was crazy. Because Teofimo Lopez is a boxer. He's a slick boxer puncher. He's a slick boxer. He was not a knockout artist. Teofimo Lopez was not a knockout artist. So when people say, oh, yo, Teofimo Lopez only got a puncher's chance, y'all got to see Teofimo Lopez in the amateurs. He was way ahead of the class. He was special in the amateurs. Huh? I followed the amateurs, and that's when you know who's going to be who. When I said that when I said that Jerome Boots Ennis is going to be the king of the 147-pound division 6 years ago. I said that 6 years ago. I said Jerome Boots Ennis is going to be the king of the 147-pound division. Who's the best in the 147-pound division right now? I said Teofimo Lopez, years before he even became, he challenged for to become a champion. I said, what are the words that I say? And y'all people laugh. I said Teofimo Lopez is going to be the captain of the generation, the commander-in-chief. The captain of the generation, the commander-in-chief, who got the best resume of their contemporaries. When I'm talking about the contemporaries, I'm talking about Devin, Ryan, Shakur, Boots, Virgil, Gary Antuanne. I'm talking about their class. Who got the best? Who's the captain? The captain of their generation, the commander-in-chief, Teofimo Lopez. I know what the fuck I'm looking at. I said also eventually low nose boxing. Put it this way, but he's Tokyo. He's not the 2016 class. He's 2 years younger than these guys. But anyway, I said that Keyshawn Davis will beat Andy Cruz in the professional level. In the pros, Keyshawn beats Andy Cruz, but he can't. But Keyshawn cannot beat Andy Cruz because he has a pro style. I've been saying that since if y'all been following the channel, I've been saying that since, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't in the amateurs. They never counted the body shots of Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis was hitting Andy Cruz to the body, and the judges never see the body shots as primary. And I said that Keyshawn Davis got a pro style. Watching the pros, I think that Keyshawn Davis beats Andy Cruz in the pros, but what I like about Andy Cruz is that he did a wonderful job after after his amateur sting, and he's older than Keyshawn Davis. He's like 4 or 5 years older than Keyshawn Davis. I don't even know why a lot of people want to shame Andy Cruz for Keyshawn. Andy Cruz is gonna be 31 years old. Oh, he's already 31 years old. Lonos Boxing with the $2 super chat. He said the Fantastic Five: T.O. Debo, Tang, Shakur, Hitchins. Now you got to put Boots in there too. You got to put Boots in there too. Dwayne in the building was good, man. Salute, Punch Drunk. Always good seeing you on IBFP. Shout out to my brother IBFP, man. It was good, man. Hey, yo, y'all called me the other day, man. Y'all called me in the bar, man. I was in the bar, man. I said, let me show my brother IBFP love and stuff like that. Hitchins look low. I'm telling you. And now they all in their prime together. They all 27, 26, 28 years old now. Now it's time. This is the reason why people thought I was crazy when I said T.O. versus Boots. And people was like, no, Boots is going to beat the shit out of T.O. Motherfuckers, Boots ain't saying that. Y'all got to understand. I'm telling you right now, bro. I've followed these guys for 9, 8 years. I'm gonna tell you like this, folks. If y'all don't want to take it from me, don't take it from me. But if y'all been following the channel, if y'all new to the channel, but go to the archives. You could go, you could go to Punch Drunk Boxing video, this, and y'all see all the shit that I've been talking about. I don't know, bro. Maybe. Hitchins versus Dev is the top fight, right? Hitchins versus Dev is the top 5 right now. How? How is that the top 5 right now? Do you like them more? You telling me with the performance of Richardson Hitchins did, and he's the 140-pound champion, and what Teofimo Lopez did to Barbosa, and now the momentum is high. They're in their prime, 2 champions, the number 1 and the number 2. You think that Hitchins and Devin is the top 5 fight right now? Huh? Huh? After the performance of Devin Haney in a catchweight, he was already in the 147-pound division. You saying that Haney and Hitchins is the top 5? Now, if you're talking about if you getting and if you ignited by the promo of Bill Haney going out there, or you on Twitter and you only follow Devin and you only follow Hitchins, you're telling the people in the chat that Hitchins and Devin is a bigger fight than Teo versus Hitchins for a unification bout in the 140-pound division, where both guys are great momentum, when this guy just knocked out the guy that beat Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo Lopez performed good versus Barbosa? Huh? So you want Hitchins to drop his belt to go to 147? Huh? And he got Teo here? Huh? I don't know, bro. I really don't know what people be watching sometimes, man. I don't understand, bro. Like, look, I'm not saying it's a bad matchup. Great, best fight in the best. I want to see the best fight the best, right? But I also want to see the best fight the best when it has momentum. See, two things that I've been saying for a long time. I follow the channel. I said two issues in the sport of boxing has been inactivity, and boxing has a way of not sustaining momentum. Like 2003 was one of the best years in the sport of boxing in the history. One of the most lucrative years in the sport of boxing. 2003. 2004, it went kind of down. It don't keep the same momentum. I like the scheduling right now, right? Almost every weekend there's a fight. This is the reason why, damn, I wanted Teofimo Lopez to take the fight with Devin Haney August 16th. It's right there. We got June. We got July all booked. Then we got August moving. You know what I'm saying? Then we got September. Boxing was going to be lit every other weekend with some great fights and great events. Think about it. In July, in a span of 9 days, we got July 11th, one of the greatest cards in boxing history. Let me put it right here. Let me see if I got the picture. In the span of 8 days, check out what we got. One of the greatest cards in boxing history right here, with the trilogy of Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. We got Shadeja Green versus Vanna Marshall. We got Jessica Camara versus Chantel Cameron. We got all the ladies. We got Alicia Baumgartner. And then the next day, we got Edgar Berlanga versus Shiraz, Shakur Stevenson, all in New York City. Everybody book your flights to New York City in July. You want to have fun? Do you want to have fun, ladies and gentlemen? Book your flights right now. New York City is going to be the hottest summer in New York City in a very, very long time. You got Edgar Berlanga versus Shiraz, Shakur Stevenson versus William Cepeda. You got Dominican versus Puerto Rico, Alberto Pollo versus Subriel Matias in the 140-pound division. And you got David Morrell back in the ring, right? That's the next day. And then you got Manny Pacquiao back in the ring. One of the greatest, probably the GOAT, the 8th division world champion, 5-time lineal, 12-time world champion, the ambassador, the senator, the humanitarian, the greatest karaoke singer of them all. The GOAT, Manny Pacquiao. In July 19th, Las Vegas, Nevada. Damn it. What a span of 8 weeks of boxing, ladies and gentlemen. This is just 8 weeks of boxing, baby. I'm sorry, not 8 weeks, 8 days. 8 days. Man. Woo. Woo. Hey, Manny Pacquiao got the eye attack. I will be him. I be Mario Barrios. I'm Man Pacquiao. I'm man. I know all for this. I know all for this. And the Manny Pacquiao. I'm the 8th division world champion, 5-hour lineal world champion. I'm Manny Pacquiao. I do it good. I do it nice. I do everything good. We got the rematch, August 16th. Oh, let me tell you like this. Let me talk about this bout a little bit right quick. Let's talk about this bout just a little bit. I know we've been talking about this. Let's talk about this bout a little bit. Let me tell you like this, folks. Oh, let me set this thing out of the way. I know there's been a lot of criticism of Gervonta Tank Davis. I know we've been clowning Gervonta Tank Davis with the hair grease. Oh my God. I can't see. No puedo ver. I can't see. Calvin Ford, can you wipe? Give me a towel, Kevin, if I can't see. Stop it. Time out. But let me say it like this, ladies and gentlemen. The best thing happened to Gervonta Tank Davis. And that was for Lamar Roach to push Gervonta Tank Davis to the limit. And let me tell you like this, mark my words, you are going to see something special. I'm not saying that Lamar Roach ain't a good fighter. I believe he's a very, very good fighter. I believe, and I told y'all leading up to this fight, because Lamar Roach knows Gervonta Tank Davis more than anybody in that ring, more than anybody. They've been fighting since they was 11 years old. He knows him very well. And that's the reason why he did really, really good versus Gervonta Tank Davis. But Gervonta Tank Davis is going to tap it into that beast. Gervonta Tank Davis, you heard, Gervonta Tank Davis could have easily avoided Lamar Roach. He could have easily avoided Lamar Roach, just like he did after the Pitbull Cruise. Could have gone into another fight. Gervonta Tank Davis taking this fight is all about legacy now. It's about legacy. See, for Gervonta Tank Davis, everything's been about money. And I always said, yo, Gervonta Tank Davis, yo, you got it all. You got the fans, you put the butts in the seats and stuff like that, but you got to stand on legacy. Because if you lose, you got nothing. He already lost his aura. But ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see why I've been calling Gervonta Tank Davis a special fighter. He's really, really good. Lamar Roach is really good, but Gervonta Tank Davis is special. And there's only a few guys that could hit that gear in the sport of boxing. You're going to mark my words. You're going to see the best Gervonta Tank Davis you ever seen in your life. You're going to see the best Gervonta Tank Davis you ever seen in your life once you see this rematch. Once you see this rematch. And I'm not going to say that Lamar Roach is not going to give him a run for his money, because I do believe that Lamar Roach is going to give him a run for his money, but he is going to bring the best out of Gervonta Tank Davis. If few fighters, look, there's good fighters. There's eye fighters. There's good fighters. There's really good fighters. There's great fighters. There's legends. And then there's special fighters. So what I mean special is that, I'm going to give you an example. Roy Jones Jr. was special. Bernard Hopkins was great. It's just certain things that you just can't teach. The combination of speed and power, twitch muscle, athleticism, torque, and them hips is you can't teach what Gervonta Tank Davis been blessed with. Gervonta Tank Davis is special. Boots Ennis is special. Teofimo is special. Deontay Wilder power, when it was elite, it was special. It's not that, he was not better boxer, but that right hand was special. Whether you like him or not, that right hand from Deontay Wilder was special. To walk inside a gym at the age of 21 and accomplish what he accomplished, special. Windmill Wilder. Bud Crawford, great fighter. If you saw him in the amateurs, if you saw him in the amateurs, ask anybody in the amateurs, he wasn't even like that. Bud Crawford, I believe Bud Crawford, when I mean special, is things that you can't teach. A speed and that you can't teach. Bud Crawford worked on it. I don't think that Bud Crawford is special. I'm talking and it doesn't matter if you lost 5 times. What I'm talking about special is something that you just can't teach. That you just God-given ability. You know what I'm saying? Ryan's speed and left hook is special when it's on. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker could be, don't even have to work out, could beat Devin Haney the way that, you know why he beat Devin Haney the way that he beat Devin Haney? It's because his left hook is special. You know what I'm saying? It's not that he's a better boxer than Devin Haney. It's that you got something special you can't teach. Mike Tyson is special. Lennox Lewis is a great fighter. Holyfield is a great fighter, but Mike Tyson is special. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm trying to say? Is Mike Tyson better than Lennox Lewis? Is Mike Tyson better than this? But Mike Tyson's special. It's something he just, the speed, the power in his size, and the way that he moved, the pivoting, the combination is special. It's special. Roy Jones Jr. was special. Bernard Hopkins was great. Antonio Tarver, very good. I'll give you an example. Marquez or Morales. Who was it? It was Marquez or Morales. Or Barrea. Barrea was really good. Right? Prince Nassim was special. You understand? Barrea may be better, but Prince Nassim was special. Right? The speed and power combination punches of Zab Judah, special. If you really look at speed and power when it comes to Zab Judah and Floyd Mayweather, Zab Judah had more speed and power than Floyd Mayweather, right? But the work ethic of Floyd Mayweather was a whole different type of level. Thank you, Savage. Punches, charisma, special. Roy Jones Jr. was special. You know what I'm saying? Muhammad Ali at his time, the way the heavyweights was fighting in his time, to move the way he moved as a heavyweight. Remember, Muhammad Ali was moving as a heavyweight the way that Sugar Ray Robinson and these other smaller fighters was moving. Muhammad Ali in his time was special. Nobody's seen a heavyweight move like Muhammad Ali. Nobody's seen a heavyweight move like Cassius Clay. Go back to all the fighters. All these other fighters were like robots. But when you see Muhammad Ali, in his time, he was the evolution of heavyweight. Mike Tyson is still the evolution of heavyweight. Nobody still moves like Mike Tyson. Roy Jones Jr. is still the evolution of speed and power at his size. Speed and power combination. He's still the evolution. Nobody has, but guys like Gervonta Tank Davis, speed and power. Power is special. Teofimo Lopez, speed, the Twitch mode, speed and power. Like he does things that you just can't teach. Jerome Booth, and he does things that you can't teach. So, I think David Benavidez is special. Canelo Alvarez is great. I think you can find a guy like David Benavidez that could throw hundreds and bunches, like in the combination of David Benavidez. You're not gonna. That is an enigma for a regular 168 pounder. You're not gonna. It's hard to even find sparring for somebody that can mimic what David Benavidez could do in 168 pound division and 175. It's hard to mimic that. Okay, I'm gonna give you another thing. For 154 pounder, Sebastian Fundora is a special fighter. He's special. He might not be better. He's not gonna be better than Charlo. He's not better than Virgil Ortiz. He's not better than I don't think he's not better than certain guys in the 154 pound division. But Sebastian Fundora being 6'7" at 154, that's some special shit. What's good, Chief? He said, I feel like he's a bully. Nah, he's man skinny. You could tell that he's not a fat dude trying to go. He's just I seen him in person. This dude is a stick, man. I don't think he's a bully. I truly Teofimo Lopez beat him in the amateurs. Teofimo Lopez beat Sebastian Fundora in the amateurs. Sebastian Fundora is just real tall, but he's not a big guy trying to shrink in weight and trying to abuse. No, he is skinny, bro. I think with Sebastian, you gotta tie him up so he could eat. That's crazy. Nigga, you once said, "Hey, come on, stick to boxing, man. Stick to boxing." But yeah, let me go back to the title. Let me go back to the title. Let me go back to the title. Let's go back to the title. Let's go back to the title. The best fight in 140-pound division. The primary fight is Teofimo Lopez versus Richardson Hitchins. But Richardson Hitchins also called out Devin the Dream Haney. I think with Devin Haney is more like because it's been fresh, it's a back and forth, and Bill Haney has done a wonderful job going out there to the press conference, making his presence felt, so the Devin Haney name could stay in everybody else's mouth, and that's what he needs to do. That is what you call DHP. That's what you call promotion, right? But in all actuality, Devin Haney versus Richardson Hitchins. I'm sorry, Richardson Hitchins versus Teofimo Lopez is the best fight. And the good thing about this fight, though, and I think that people is going to be actually going to be, I think that Richardson Hitchins is going to even perform even better, is because Richardson Hitchins is the IBF junior welterweight champion. And the unification bout with Teofimo Lopez, Richardson Hitchins is going to rehydrate like he hasn't done in a very, very long time. Because in a unification bout, he don't have to be subjected to the 10 pounds rehydration clause. So you might see a very, very good or better Richardson Hitchins than what you saw yesterday or what you saw the fight before. You understand what I'm trying to say, folks? You're going to see a special Richardson. I'm going to give you an example. Jerome Boots Ennis, how he looked versus Karen, how he looks versus Karen second, how he looked versus Stanionis, because for the first time in a long time, he wasn't subjected to the 10-pound rehydration clause. So you saw a very special Jerome Boots Ennis rehydrated. So when it was a unification bout, it trumps the 10-pound rehydration clause. And what you saw was a dangerous Jerome Boots Ennis. And we saw that Richardson Hitchins has hit his prime. You saw the power versus George Kambosos, and you might see something special from Richardson Hitchins if he faced Teofimo Lopez in a unification bout, because it trumps it. It trumps the 10 pounds rehydration clause. Domingo Bonilla in the building. Me dice, Keith Connolly doesn't want that fight to happen, but he said he won't get in the way of Lopez versus Hitchins. Well, seems like Eddie Hearn was very, very mad at Keith Connolly. I don't know. It seems like he's mad at Keith Connolly. He didn't want to mention names, but he said that he said that Richardson Hitchins is with snakes. I don't know, man. I like Keith Connolly and Mike. I think they've done a wonderful job. I think they're manager of the year, in my opinion. I think that Keith Connolly is manager of the year so far. I think he's the best manager in boxing. He's the same manager of Teofimo Lopez and Richardson Hitchins. I think there's an easy fight to be made. I mean, and I think, and look, folks, if there's a great fight, I got T.O. beating, of course, Richardson Hitchins, but I think it's going to be a tough fight. I think it goes to a decision. I think that Richardson Hitchins is coming into his prime. I think that Teofimo Lopez is already walking into his prime as well, and he was so sharp. Both of these guys were sharp in their last outing. But of course, Kambosos was moving up from 135-pound division, right? So I think still Teofimo Lopez had the hardest opponent in Arnold Barbosa, you know? But at the end of the day, I like that Richardson Hitchins took care of business like the way that Lomachenko did. You know, again, this is the sport of boxing. You put some opponents there to gauge where another potential opponent, right? And of course, we all know that George Kambosos only have one highlight reel of his career, and that was a split decision victory over Teofimo Lopez, and that's going to live on, you know? In the promo, Richardson Hitchins is going to be like, yo, I knocked out a guy that you lost to, you know what I'm saying? So there's a buildup to this fight already. There is a BK, Brooklyn, New York City build up to this fight already. And let me nip this in the bud right quick. Smash that like button. Happy Father's Day. Let's nip it in the let's make something real clear. I'm tired of this. Teofimo Lopez is not from New York. Teofimo Lopez is not from New York. Let's be real here. Let's be real here. Let's be real here. Teofimo Lopez is not from New York. I'm hearing that he was born in Brooklyn, New York, and everybody else know that. Now, let's be real. Most of us, our parents is from the Caribbean or whatever country, right? Parents from Dominican Republic. Yo soy Dominicano, but was I born in Dominican Republic? No. Do I call myself Dominican? Yes. How about black people when they call themselves African American? Were you born in Africa? No. Nah, but I come from, you know what I'm saying? I'm African American. Okay. But you born? So I don't want to hear it. He was born in New York City. If I say in sports, who got the heart of New York in sports? We talk about Patrick Ewing. Is Patrick Ewing a New Yorker? Is Patrick Ewing resemble New York? When you look at Patrick Ewing, do you think about New York City? When we're talking about sports, when you think about Patrick Ewing, go New York, go. Is he a pride of New York? Is he a product of New York? Is Patrick Ewing a product of New York? Or New Yorkers be like, get the fuck out of here, Patrick Ewing. You was born in Boston. You ain't no damn New Yorker. And you know that Boston is our rivalry in baseball, in basketball, and every other sport. Get out of here, Patrick Ewing. Or we say that Patrick Ewing is New Yorker. When he goes to Madison Square Garden, or he go to Yankee Stadium, anywhere he walks, man, Patrick Ewing is a New Yorker. Whoever embody New York, my city, it is a New Yorker, man. You know what I'm saying? Teofimo Lopez was born here. Stop playing around. I was born in Mexico, raised in NC since 5. I am an American Southerner. Epoxy magic in the building, right? You know what I'm saying? Teofimo Lopez been putting New York in the map. He got 9 fights in New York. Now people want to say, he in New York. Matter of fact, Teofimo Lopez they gave him the keys. So, at the end of the day, man, I like this fight. I like this fight. I like Teofimo Lopez versus Richardson Hitchins. Of course, I do like a potential fight with Teo and Haney, because that's a fight that we've been talking about. Let me put this right quick. Look, Teo and Haney is a fight that been building for a long time. That's the reason why I would love to see that fight. That fight was on the table. But to be honest, Teo and Haney didn't have momentum because of Haney's performance. When we're talking about the fight, nobody's saying that it will be a great fight. It will be a great promotion. It will be just a fight that we've been talking about, and we want to see it display. We want to see the buildup, right? Within what the promo and stuff like that. But in all actuality, after May 2nd, we wasn't thrilled. We wasn't talking about Haney and Teo gotta happen. We wasn't talking about that because it didn't have momentum. I like fights that has momentum. Is the reason why we wanted to see the heavyweight undisputed. We haven't had that in almost a quarter of a century. But after Tyson Fury, the way that he looked versus a novice in Francis Ngannou, it ain't had good momentum. A lot of Americans in this side of the pond in sports wasn't even talking about Tyson Fury or this under the Usyk heavyweight undisputed. It was good, sucker. Because it didn't have momentum. The reason why Bud versus Spence, it was great is because Earl Spence stopped Ugas, Bud Crawford stopped Dave Avenesian, and it had great momentum. Oh shit, Earl Spence is looked better than ever. Terrence Bud Crawford's been looking the best for the past fucking years, right? Pound for pound, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can flip it around. It had great momentum. A great fight of the best fight versus the best needs great momentum. Is the reason why I was a fan of Teofimo Lopez and Jerome Boots Ennis. Jerome Boots Ennis had great momentum after staying honest. Teofimo Lopez had great momentum versus Barbosa. Realistic, traditionally realistic, historically, dare to be great. The lineal champion at 140 versus the lineal champion at 147. Beautiful. They had great momentum. I'm a fan of great momentum. Yo, Teofimo Lopez looked as sharp as he can be. Yo, Boots Ennis looked incredible. Great momentum. Richardson Hitchins and Teofimo Lopez, great momentum. The number one versus the number two. The number one fighter at 140, the number two fighter in at 140 pound division is Richardson Hitchins and Teofimo Lopez. Unification bout, both fighters from New York City. Prime, same class. Let's make it happen. That's a fight. Now, Turkey Al Sheikh said, I don't want to see no more running. I would not put no running. Well, Turkey Al Sheikh, you want a great fight in the co-main event of Bud Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez? How about you put Teofimo Lopez versus Richardson Hitchins in the co-main event to Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Bud Crawford? And you ain't gonna see no running from nobody. You ain't gonna see no running from nobody. That's what you wanted, right? You seen a knockout from Richardson Hitchins. You seen Teofimo Lopez showed you in your own card, and you got Canelo Alvarez versus Bud Crawford. Or that could be the fight in October in Saudi Arabia. Maybe not Saudi Arabia, but I hope that maybe he could do something in New York City and put the money up and stuff like that. Slim said, I disagree. A fight can be good without having momentum, vice versa. Look at Floyd and Pac-Man. I don't think there was a bigger momentum fight than that, and it was trash fight. I'm not saying all the time. Slim, I said what I feel is a great momentum fight. For me to be invested in a great fight, it has to have momentum. Yeah, at the same time, Slim, everybody was saying that fight was already past their prime. Floyd Mayweather was 38 years old and Manny Pacquiao was 36 years old. You know what I'm saying? I understand that some fights don't have to have that momentum, but for me to be invested in a fight when we have potential matchups, see, let me say it like this. There was nothing really left for Manny Pacquiao, for Floyd Mayweather. There was nothing left for Manny Pacquiao. They had to fight one another. Or they're going to have to fight young fighters like Floyd Mayweather versus Keith Thurman, and Floyd Mayweather versus Danny Garcia at the time, Floyd Mayweather versus Amir Khan at the time, Floyd Mayweather versus Kell Brook at the time, Sean Porter at the time. But really Kell Brook, because Kell Brook beat Sean Porter. Right? But we need good momentum. Right now, what we saw in the ring, that's great momentum. I'm not trying to minimize a Teo and a Haney, because that's a fight that we've been talking about for a long time. But the momentum of the fight, regardless of the drama, the promo or nothing, the fight itself, when we think about now Hitchins and Teo, we're thinking about a great fight. We're not thinking about, is Richardson Hitchins going to run? Or is Teo going to look good or not? No, because it has great momentum. We're not thinking about, is Teo going to perform to the level of his competition? No, because Richardson Hitchins is competition. So nobody is talking about that Teofimo Lopez is going to perform to the level of his competition. That erases that narrative from our psyche. Richardson Hitchins already got the knockout. So now in people's mind, look at Twitter right now. Look at Twitter. Look at people in the comment section. I think that Hitchins beat Teo. I never used to hear that. I never used to read that. But because we live in the moment, I'm checking. I think this Hitchins beat Teo. I think Hitchins beat. That's what boxing needs. Give me a second, folks. I'm not working with Hitchins. Let's get Teo Russell on the undercard of. Oh, that's a good fight as well, Walker. is a good fight as well. It's like I was saying in the beginning of the live. It's like I've been saying in the beginning of the live. The boxing world needs to stop avoiding to say this man's name. I think now, no, for real. All the boxing content creators, for real. All the independent media, for real, folks. No. I love it. I love the Teo versus Hitchins, the Hitchins versus Haney, the Keyshawn versus Andy, the Shakur versus the Tank. Why nobody is saying this man's name? Anybody, please help me out. Why nobody wants to call the real boogeyman in 140-pound division? And not just the real boogeyman in 140-pound division, ladies and gentlemen. He's the boogeyman of this class. Gary Antuanne Russell is the boogeyman of this class. What am I talking about? If y'all just tuning in right now, I gotta go back. I gotta repeat myself because now we got more people in the live right now. We got more people in the live, right? Always puts up great fights. Gary Antuanne Russell was entertaining. Gary Antuanne Russell got speed. Gary Antuanne Russell got power. Gary Antuanne Russell got footwork. Gary Antuanne Russell got good skills. Gary Antuanne Russell was an Olympian. Gary Antuanne Russell was beating Richardson Hitchins. Gary Antuanne Russell was beating Richardson Hitchins in to make it to the Olympic team and beat him in the Olympics. Why we ain't talking about Gary Antuanne Russell, the unification bout with Richardson Hitchins and Gary Antuanne Russell, the unification bout with Gary Antuanne Russell versus Teofimo Lopez, aka Tweezy, huh? Why we ain't talking about the real best guy of the class and their contemporaries know it? Now y'all know I rock with Teo, but even Teo don't mention Gary Antuanne Russell. And Teo's my guy. And I don't want to hear because he's not promoted well. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear the PBC haters say, oh, but Gary Antuanne Russell, PBC, and throw the mierda de narratives. F the narratives, folks. F the narratives. If you're a boxing content creator, he beat Boost too. Of course he beat Boost. I got it right here, ladies and gentlemen. This man I've been calling the kryptonite to Jerome Boost Ennis. Jerome Boost Ennis don't want to mention his name. He beat Jerome Boost Ennis twice. He beat Richardson Hitchins 3 times. He beat Abraham Nova. He beat Jermaine Ortiz. Gary Antuanne Russell was beating all these guys. Why is the media and independent media and boxing content creators, Twitter account holders, the boxing community do not want to say this man's name? Why? This is why. Because his contemporaries know who the fuck he is. And by saying his name, by not saying his name, keeps the media from not saying his name. So the boxers don't want to say his name. The boxers don't want to say his name because once you say his name and then another credible voice does his due diligence and does his study about Gary Antuanne Russell, then he's going to be like, but Gary Antuanne Russell was beating Richardson Hitchins. Why Eddie Hearn don't mention Gary Antuanne Russell? Why Top Rank Bob Arum never mentions Gary Antuanne Russell for a potential unification bout with Teofimo Lopez? Why Eddie Hearn don't mention Gary Antuanne Russell for a potential fight with Gary Antuanne Russell? Why Jerome Boost Ennis can't mention Gary Antuanne Russell? Oh, he just one division below. He could move up. Why? Why? I've been mentioning Gary Antuanne Russell. Huh? But I bet when I'm mentioning a Latino fighter, then people like to come to my channel and like to say, yo, Punch, you only show love to Latinos. Yeah, because y'all never show up when I'm giving mass credit to the fellow African-American black fighters, right? They never come to my channel and say, yo, Punch, you always be showing love to Charlo, to Demetrius Andre, to Jamal Charlo, to Keyshawn Davis, to Kid Austin, to Shakur Stevenson, to Gary Antuanne Russell. Where's all these people? As soon as, but if I'm talking about Virgil Ortiz, then there's going to be a couple of brothers that come into my channel and say, yo, Punch, you won't talk about the brothers. But when I'm talking about the brothers don't come over here and show me love. Right? Come on, y'all, right? In the chat, right? Yo, Punch your backs and always talking about the Latino fighters. No, it's because y'all don't show up to support when I'm talking about everybody else. I'm saying why Tio don't mention his name. Devin don't mention his name. You remember when Bill Haney was in the Boxing Voice and they mentioned Gary Antuanne Russell. Bill Haney right away got tight. You know why? Because they know who Gary Antuanne Russell is. He's the kryptonite to most of these guys. He's the kryptonite to most of these guys. People can't say, oh, Puello. Forget about that. He took a loss. He bounced right back up. And it wasn't a demoralizing loss anyway. It could have gone either way. It wasn't a demoralizing loss. Reyes double standard. Reyes, you know that, right? Reyes, you've been in my channel. You know how some of the brothers like to come over here and try to raise bait and say, yo, Punch, you don't be showing love. Every time I show love. Motherfuckers never want to show up when I say, yo, Demetrius Andre going to be fighting David Bennett. Demetrius Andre is getting dug. Demetrius Andre, no. Nobody want to come up and no. Nobody want to show me. What about Jamal Charlo? What about Jamel Charlo? Jamel Charlo. Remember I said Jamel Charlo 50-50 with the best fight for Virgil Ortiz is Jamel Charlo. And they don't want to they don't want to come over here and be like, yo, Punch he's unbiased and speak about everybody. Right? Look at this. Look for how long I'm talking about. Put it this way. Give me a second. I gotta bring some receipts. I gotta bring the receipts. I gotta bring the receipts. I gotta bring the receipts. Give me a sec. Give me a second. Boost Ennis. Hold on. Let me turn this thing down. Hold on. Let me see, where is that? Look at that Gary Antuanne Russell. This video right here, I was saying Gary Antuanne Russell, the kryptonite. Earl Spence is Boots' kryptonite. But I was explaining why Gary Antuanne Russell is. Happy Father's Day, my brothers. So yeah, man. Now I'm asking y'all in the chat. I'm asking y'all in the chat. I already laid down my reasons why I believe people are reluctant to say his name. And it's not only the fighters. It's the same thing PBC telecast was doing to Bud Crawford. The Zone is doing to Gary Antuanne Russell. Am I right or wrong? But I don't hear a lot of people saying the let's not forget the same thing the PBC telecast at Fox was doing to Bud Crawford, the same thing the Zone is doing to Gary Antuanne Russell. Dímelo, Randy, con la bandera de República Dominicana. Háblame de la música de Randy, la música de Randy de la República Dominicana. Oh, happy Father's Day para los papis. Ay, ay. Tenemos July 12, tenemos apoyo. This is Subriel Márquez, La Romana, Santiago, San Pedro de Macorís, San Francisco de Macorís. ¡Hey! Puerto Plata. Febrero 27. Págame la música. Yanketing. All right, baby. What's good, Randy? What's good, my brother? Good looking out with a $20 super chat, my brother. Now, I want y'all to tell me why you think, not what I think, why you think people are reluctant to mention the name Gary Antuanne Russell in the 140-pound division, knowing he's a champion. Knowing that he's a champion, why they don't want to mention his name. Why I keep hearing every other name. We got Puello versus Matias. We have Teo stepping in the ring with Richards and Hitchins. We seen Richards and Hitchins call out Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. We don't hear Teo calling Gary. And he had the PBC hat. And what did Teofimo Lopez said? I want Boots or I want Tank. He didn't say Gary. Richards and Hitchins should be the one calling out Gary, to be honest. For the most, because they have a history. But Richards and Hitchins don't like to say Gary Russell Jr.'s name. I'm sorry, Gary Antuanne Russell. Nobody like to say his name, but he's a champion. He's an American champion. These guys are American champions. And I think this was wrong with, and I think that even Turkey Al Sheikh would like a fighter in his card like Gary Antuanne Russell. That was a close fight, J Love. It could have gone either way. That fight could have gone either way with Gary. It could have been a draw, in my opinion. It could have gone either way. I think Puello looked very sharp, and I think that with Puello, I don't think a lot of people. I think that Gary Antuanne Russell probably overlooked him a little bit. I know he was coming from. I think he had surgery before that. Gary Antuanne, and let's not forget also that even though that Puello is el dominicano, el platanero, el manguco, los tres golpes, Puello did pop dirty too before. Puello did pop dirty before. I'm not saying he was dirty versus Gary Antuanne Russell. All I'm saying the fight before that, he popped dirty and still got an opportunity. Let's not forget. Ralph said Puello the best at 140. I don't know, because that Sandor Martin fight could have gone either way as well. As a matter of fact, I had Sandor Martin winning by 1 round. Oh, I think I had it a draw, but I think I had it a draw, or I had Sandor Martin. I think I had it a draw, and it was a draw. As a matter of fact, I did call it a draw. I did the live commentary, but if they would have given it to anybody, they would have given it to Sandor Martin. I think it was a draw, but if they would have given it to anybody, it would have been Sandor Martin. Jackie Hernandez said, I keep forgetting that he tested positive for something. Yes. Yep, he did test positive. You know what I'm saying? And that's why maybe I haven't really was invested in really giving him the benefit of the doubt, because, he's, Puello is very quiet. He does got some skills, but he's popped dirty before. You know what I'm saying? It's really tough, Gary looked better every fight. Destroy Rayo. He got speed. I'm gonna say it like this: he beats Puello in a rematch. He beats Puello in a rematch. I was surprised that he lost to Puello, but he beats Puello in a rematch. I believe so. But why you think, guys, that Richardson, Hitchins, Teo, Ryan, Devin, why they reluctant to mention his name like that? Think about it. He comes from the same class. It's not like these guys don't know who he is. That's what bugs me out. That's what got me thinking. All these guys know who he is. Like, think about it. The Russell family, DMV, and you got the Tank know who the Russell family is. All these guys know who he is. Boots know who Gary Antuanne Russell is. It's one thing that if that's not in your class, like, okay, Gary Antuanne Russell was like way younger or way older. But these guys came up together. Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson, Gary Antuanne Russell all used to be together in the amateurs. They used to chill with one another. Clarissa Shields, she used to be part of that was the group. That was the group. Teo, Gary, Clarissa Shields, and Shakur Stevenson. They all used to be together. They used to chill, all friends, travel the world together. They know who they are. These guys know each other. Nobody wants to mention Gary Antuanne Russell. The same way that in 2000, I said it again earlier, that nobody wanted to mention Demetrius Andre. That's why Tyson Fury knows exactly who Demetrius Andre is. And all these guys are saying why they don't give Demetrius Andre a chance. Why you think that? Look at Andre Ward, the conversation he had, Bernard Hopkins, guys like that's been saying for a long time they ducking Demetrius Andre. But in this community, Demetrius Andre is trash. Demetrius Andre is boring. You know why? Because if I tell you who wins Demetrius Andre versus Caleb Plant, who you got? Demetrius Andre versus Jaime Munguia, who you got? Demetrius Andre versus Edgar Berlanga, who you got? Demetrius Andre versus Jamal Charlo, who you got? It's either there's a 50-50 fight or you got Demetrius Andre winning, but they don't like to mention Demetrius Andre. It's a form of blackballing you. Not mentioning your name is a form of blackballing. So when a telecast, J Love said all great fights. Fight Fury films. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Everybody be like, Demetrius Andre ain't shit. Demetrius Andre is boring. Demetrius Andre, I don't know. Demetrius Andre versus Jaime Munguia, who wins? 168. Demetrius Andre versus Caleb Plant, who wins? Demetrius Andre versus Jamal Charlo. Demetrius Andre versus Diego Pacheco. Demetrius, let's go down the line. Let's go down the line at 168. Since y'all don't want to give the credit, never want to give credit to Demetrius Andre, because maybe Canelo Alvarez have a large fan base and y'all don't want to. Hold on. Let's go through the rankings. Matter of fact, let's go to the Junior welterweight. I'm sorry. Diablo, man. To the junior welterweight. Let's go to the junior welterweight. WBA. Who wins? Gary Antuanne Russell versus Richardson Hitchins. Who wins that fight? Who wins that fight, ladies and gentlemen? Richardson Hitchins versus Gary Antuanne Russell in the chat right now. Come on, man. Let's participate. Who wins? Gary Antuanne Russell versus Richardson Hitchins. Gary Antuanne Russell has beaten Richardson Hitchins 3 out of the 4 times they face in the amateurs. Velez, Russell, Jackie, Gary. J Love says, good one. Who wins? Gary by stoppage, Hip Hop University. If he win, and look, if people picking that Gary Russell, to be honest, I'm edging Gary Russell. I'm edging Gary Russell. Walker said, Gary, why we ain't talking about this fight? Why he's trying to run interference for his buddy Teofimo? What are you talking about, man? I'm talking about Teofimo. Lopez is not even mentioning Gary Antuanne. And we're going to mention that fight next. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all not here to, y'all just here to be like, yo, punch, run, boxing. Stop being emotional. Stop being emotional. I'm saying that everybody is avoiding the name Gary Antuanne Russell. Richardson Hitchins, Teofimo, Ryan Garcia, everybody at 140. Everybody is not saying his name. But now we're talking about the unification bouts. We're talking about Teo and Richardson Hitchins. Teofimo Lopez said every name except Gary Antuanne Russell. Teofimo Lopez has mentioned Hitchins, has mentioned Devin, has mentioned Ryan, has mentioned Tank, has mentioned Boots, has mentioned Brian Norman Jr. What about Gary Antuanne Russell? Richardson Hitchins called out Teofimo Lopez, called out, but talking shit about Keyshawn Davis, called out Devin Haney, having little problems with Javonte Tank Davis because of a chain or whatever. He don't mention Gary Antuanne Russell. This, for me, is alarming. Why? A champion, unification. Not mentioning Gary Russell. Teo respect Tweezy and the Russell family. I know that. Yeah, at the end of the day, there's no friends in boxing. And even Gary Antuanne Russell said he will fight Teo respectfully. They never talk shit. They friends, right? But I know Teo, when it comes to legacy, he don't give a damn. He don't care about the friendship. Teo respects Tweezy. They know Gary will tax they ass for free. Not Antonio. Antoine. Not Antonio. I would think Antonio was special like Gary Antuanne and Gary Russell Jr. The two names that they don't mention is Russell and Matias. Matias already lost. I don't think Matias is special, Velez, to be honest. You know, I think you know why I like Matias? Because I'm a fan of Puerto Rican boxing as well. That's the reason. And what Matias is, I love boxing, and especially in this side of the pond, when a Puerto Rican fighter is lit, because Puerto Ricans know how to support their fighters. You know what I'm saying? Madison Square Garden, Puerto Rican boxing is one of the best. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like if you're in the West Coast and you're experiencing the love and the support of Mexican boxing, right? Just like if you go to the UK and how the UK supports. It's something about the Puerto Rican you go to an Amanda Serrano fight. Amanda Serrano is holding Puerto Rican boxing down. It's electrifying. And everybody knows is this side of the pond. The Puerto Rican fan base is the heart of boxing, especially in this site, in the East Coast. Puerto Rican boxing is the heart of boxing. The community is the heart of boxing. In Madison Square Garden, the people that were showing love, Teofimo Lopez, was the Puerto Ricans. There's a lot of Dominicans, and now that Dominicans is on a rise. We got Rohan Polanco, we got Elry Cedeno Martinez, we got Carlos Adames and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, these guys got to talk the talk. They got to talk that shit. You know what I'm saying? They're being too humble, in my opinion. You know, they're talking too humble. I need some. I need some. You saw how shout out to Pablo Valdez, and it's crazy that he didn't get to fight yesterday. But Pablo Valdez, when he told the dude in the press conference, yo te voy a sacar la mierda a usted. Es un dominicano, así mismito que hablen así. But that's the problem with the Dominican fighters. They're not acting. They're not talking that Dominican language for the Dominican community and stuff like that. The hip hop, reggaeton, Spanish rap, that culture, el tigueraje de los dominicanos. They're not tapping into that community. And this is the world of boxing. You got to tap into that community. These Dominican fighters are not tapping into that community. They speak too proper. The Dominican fighters today, when I'm telling you, ellos están hablando too proper. It's like they're the rich Dominicans. So, tanto humilde. Nah, they got to talk that shit. You know what I'm saying? ¿A quién tú quieres pelear? No, tú sabes, yo peleo a cualquiera. Yo estoy ready para cualquiera. No, háblame así que te lo voy a romper la boca. You want problem with me? I have problem with you. And fuck you, I beat everybody. Give me just the time, David, que le voy a romper la boca a ese estúpido Abe. Ese tiene un gorrilla. He's a gorrilla, okay? Fuck you, okay? That's what we need. That's what we need. I don't want to hear that. Yo, people say, yo, Punch, you don't want to interview Dominican. I tell them, hey, you got to come with energy. No me vean con todo eso. Dije, sí, po, ¿cómo tú estás? Sí, que yo. No, give me energy. Give me energy. I don't want that little humble shit. No. ¿A quién tú quieres pelear? ¿A quién? Dime, Punch, ¿a quién tú quieres? A Teofimo Lopez, mira, yo le meto la mano a ese tigre. Who else? A Gary Russell, ese tigre, ese feo. Who else? Okay, I beat everybody, okay? I'm the champion of the Dominican Republic, okay? Yo le doy un pelotazo con así. That's what I like to hear. Capicuma de foca over here. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. No diga, una chonga, tú sabes, sí. Ranga, yo quiero pelear a Rolly, ese sí. Yo peleo con cualquiera. Sí, a Rolly, a quién más, a Boots, sí, Boots es bueno. Y yo, sí, yo puedo, si me dan la oportunidad, tú sabes que yo estoy puesto para pelear. No, it's not. I'm telling you, my Dominican, we're not a boxing community. So you got to set the tone somewhere. I am telling you, remark my words. And I've been telling these Dominican fighters behind the scenes, okay, you have to, if y'all need to hire me, bro. I'll speak for y'all. But if they don't have love for me, hey, I'm not going to be showing love for y'all because I'm showing love for I've shown love for Dominican fighters behind the scenes. And I'm going to say it like this. Some of them son mal agradecidos. Some of them are ungrateful. And if you want me to be honest with y'all, I'm going to be really, really real. The reason why I haven't shown the proper respect and love to my Dominicans in boxing is because behind the scenes, son mal agradecido because they're ungrateful. And every time you try to help one of them, you help them and they look the other way. I'm being real. I am being real. You know what I'm saying? Some of them son come mierda, y lo digo yo. And it's like that. He said, Dion, hey, nah, I got to keep it real. Maybe everybody has their own and feels the same way about their own and shit like that. But nah, bro, I've stuck my neck out. And I'm going to tell you, behind the scenes, I've done wonders, bro. I've made dreams come true, bro. I'm that serious. Yo estoy quillado con los dominicanos también. And that's why y'all don't see me show that love. Because they're ungrateful. Some of these motherfuckers is ungrateful, bro. You know? Gotta keep it real. Except, shout out to Pablo Valdez. Pablo Valdez ese tigre is one of the real ones, and probably the realest one of all of them. Pablo Valdez. He's a real one. He's a real one. He's a real one. He's a real one. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Michel Rivera. Shout out to Rohan Polanco. Shout out to these other guys, the brothers, Cedeno brothers, but the Peru guy, Doug Pablo Valdez. Yeah, man. Punch, you 100% Dominicano. I 100% Latino. Of course, man. I love my Dominican brothers and shit like that. You know what it is that Dominican fighters have a ceiling. And this is why I'm actually happy that Eddie De Los Santos did what he did. Because I already was saying, just throw a $50,000 to Eddie De Los Santos. And look, I was actually right. I was happy. The narrative was that Eddie De Los Santos said, I'm not gonna fight this guy like that. But mira ahora, no, Eddie De Los Santos wanted to fight. No, and he's mad because he asked for $50,000. Bang. I was giving credit to Eddie De Los Santos, and now he's mad because he asked for $50,000 and he heard that his trainer asked for $300,000. Mi hermano, you did the right thing. You get $50,000, man. $50,000. Uno come mierda for this guy Keyshawn Davis to beat the crap out of you. That's the problem with Dominican fighters. That's the problem with Dominican fighters. That they don't know their value. Eddie De Los Santos, I was praising Eddie De Los Santos for not fighting Keyshawn Davis because he was not prepared. He came 5 pounds light, overweight. Eddie De Los Santos just publicly stated, oh, he asked for $50,000. My man, no, bro. No sea come mierda así, mi hermano. No. Keyshawn would have buried your ass for $50,000. Damn, you're gonna. I see no, mi hermano. I see no. He did the right thing. But now I heard that, oh, he's mad because he asked for 50. That's it. And remember, I told y'all, give a Dominican fighter $100,000 and he'll do whatever. Huh? I see no. He'll fight him $50,000, $100,000. Le mama al huevo a Keyshawn Davis también, just to top it off. Así como son los estúpidos dominicanos algunas veces. ¿Ah? Tú vienes a pelear a ese tigre with $50,000. ¿Ah? Estúpido. That's the problem with Dominican fighters and in the boxing industry knows it. Just throw. That's what they thought was gonna happen. Just throw him a $50,000 and take him to the shed. I keep it real, bro. See, a lot of people be like, "Yo, you be saying this about this." I keep it real, man. My Dominican fight, the Dominican culture in boxing, you give them whatever and they do it, bro. Stop. We have a great. They're pouring money into the boxing, into the boxing schools, the amateur boxing. There now, for the first time, boxing is being highly invested. People are highly invested in the sport of boxing. You don't gotta be come mierda no more. The peak is not $200,000. You gotta think about millions. You give these guys $200,000 and they be like, that's it. I don't even got to pay for no camp fee. They won't even pay for the camp fee. That's it. Yeah, I got it. $200,000 to take me a long way in Dominican Republic, and that's it. And the boxing industry knows that. And that's why I thought that Eddie De Los Santos was doing the right thing. But that motherfucker wanted $50,000. And then when these guys go fight, they be like, yo, Punch, why you not showing love? Why you said that Gervonta Davis is going to turn Hector Luis Garcia to a Plátano, to a Totones? Why you not supporting your Dominican? The Dominican fighters was hitting me up and say, yo, but Punch, pero dale apoyo. Dale apoyo como? Mira, Gervonta Davis le va a romper la boquita a ese tigre. That's it. You didn't see? Boom, he hitting. I don't see nothing. No puedo ver. You gotta put yourself in position where you're gonna be respected. If you put yourself in and you're not gonna be respected, then I don't give a damn about you. You think that they respected Carlos Adames out there? Turkey Out Shake was going around the ring looking at the scorecards. Who did this? What is the scorecard? Who the fuck is Dominican? What is that Dominican? Who gives a fuck about Carlos Adamas? All right? Who is this? What is the Dominican Republic? What is that Port Island? This garbage. I don't give a fuck about him. Nobody talking about him. This is going to be a draw. Mexican boxer said Ness was saying Edwin was going to get destroyed. He was going to get destroyed. To be honest, he was going to get destroyed. He was going to get destroyed. Lo Dominicano, óyeme, a Pondro Boxing, your brother from the motherland, your brother, Dominican Republic right here. They están siendo come mierda. Oíste? Just because they throw you another $50,000 or $100,000, you are better than that. Edwin de los Santos was a good fighter. Dominican fighters are used so they good enough in the industry. Man, I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm being real. Couple managers I've tried to help sign fighters. You know what this manager told me? He said, Punch, no disrespect. I know you Dominican, no disrespect. But I wouldn't even give them I wouldn't even give them a 5 nickel for a signing bonus. Even if there was an Olympian in the Dominican Republic. He said there is no money in Dominican boxing. All you're going to do is lose. That's what they told me. Not one manager, not two managers, but 2 managers and a promoter told me that. They say Dominican fighters are very, very good, but you can't make money off of them. And that's why what they tell me that. I tell my fellow Dominican fighters, I tell them, yo, it's not about the skills. You have to sell. You have to talk shit. They don't understand our culture. That's number 1. You guys are not talking. That's number 2. They don't even know what region to put you in. You know what I'm saying? If a real promoter know Dominicans, you know they will put Dominicans in New York City. Rohan Polanco, leave him in New York City. He only going to perform in New York. They just signed Elder Cedeno Martinez, New York alone. Build them in New York. That's it. You take them out to West Coast. Nobody knows what Dominican is in the West Coast. I remember the first time I went to the West Coast and they say, what are you? I said, I'm Dominican. They be like, what is that? David Benavidez. That's why people make fun. People laugh. People laugh when I say, hey, David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, the Ecuadorian monster, the Dominican monster. David Benavidez won't even rock a Dominican flag, and that dude is Dominican too, because he's from the West Coast. If David Benavidez was raised in the East Coast, he'll be rocking the Mexican flag and the Dominican flag. But he don't know what the fuck is Dominican in Arizona. He don't get the lo Dominicano in Arizona. If David Benavidez was raised in New York, Boston, Philly, David Benavidez will be walking out with the Mexican flag and the Dominican flag. You know why he don't come out with the Dominican flag? Because first, there's no Dominicans in Arizona, and he trains in Seattle, and there is not a Dominican culture in boxing. So why would he show the love? Maybe now that he's in Miami, he's probably going to be like, because let's be real, let's be honest. David Benavidez don't look like a regular Mexican. Motherfuckers like 6'3" and shit like that. I told you a long time ago, David Benavidez looked like Fernando Villalona. Ramstar Boxing Island, the ones in the UK, London, right? Let's be real. David Benavidez does not look like a normal Mexican. He is more Dominican than anything, bro. I told y'all before, a long time ago. He said my cousin is 6'2". David, y'all want me to put the picture up again? David Benavidez's father could be Fernandito Villalona. Y'all want to put the picture up again? He said, F the fuck. No, he ain't. All right, I'm going to put the picture. You think I'm lying? Haas, you think I'm lying? David is Ecuadorian, bro. David Benavidez is Mexican and half Ecuadorian, half Dominican. His mother is half Dominican, half Ecuadorian. His father is Mexican. I already had the interview with David Benavidez, his father, senior. He said it here, and he said it. I've done videos about it. I don't know why people be like thinking that I'm crazy. Like, his father is the one that's saying it. I had the interview with his father here, and I asked him, oh, Diablo. I think people think I'm joking around. Look, Christian says David doesn't look full Mexican. He looks more Ecuadorian. He looks Dominican, bro. He said, look at Tip Bayless. Tip Bayless says, David ain't Dominican until he owns a hookah. Okay. You got, all right, watch. Look at this. I can't believe you guys still, y'all don't even believe his own father? His mother is half, his grandfather's Dominican, his mother is half Dominican, half Ecuadorian. He goes, look at Mexican, he wishes a punch, wishes David was Dominican. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay. Y'all think I'm joking around? All right.
No, yo soy dominicano, New York City. I want to see David Benavidez in the Mecca. But I want to ask you this question because when you Google David Benavidez, they say he's Mexican, half Ecuadorian, and Dominican. Can you elaborate? What is your son and what's the mix?
Yeah, that's what, I'm 100% Mexican. I come from Mexico, so that makes him a little Mexican. His mom is from Ecuador, so that makes him a little Ecuadorian, and his grandfather is Dominican, so that I don't even know what to tell you. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Like you got a lot of Dominicans out here in New York City.
Un saludo para todos los dominicanos.
Que yo te dije, estúpido. What I told you, my friends. Y'all think I'm playing around. David Benavidez is Dominican. David Benavidez is Dominican. Y'all think I've been playing around all this time. I don't know why y'all think I'm joking. It's not a joke. Y'all don't. I'm gonna send the link for y'all, bro, so y'all can see it yourself. Cause I've been saying why yo, that's what it is, yo, Guido. These guys always laughing because I always say David Benavidez, the Dominican monster, the Ecuadorian monster, the Dominican monster, and they be like, he's not Dominican, motherfucker. His mother is half Ecuadorian, half Dominican. His mother's father is Dominican. Her mother is Ecuadorian, but he wears the Mexican Ecuadorian flag. He's 25 Dominican, just like he's 25 Ecuadorian. But he shows more love to Ecuadorian and Mexican because he's in the West Coast. So there's more Mexicans, Ecuadorians in the West Coast. But in New York, if he was born in New York, he'll be rocking the Dominican flag because there is more. The Latinos the Latinos in New York is the Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. So he will feel more Dominican. He will give more props. He will show his Dominican side more. But because he's from the West Coast in Arizona, he knows nothing of Dominican. He don't know the culture of Dominicans. Y'all just mad. Y'all don't want to see these motherfuckers when we talk about Dominican fight and I say David Benavidez, y'all be like, no, because y'all know he's Dominican. You guys just want to be like, no, he not. His father say, but y'all say no. His father could recognize his own son being Dominican, but y'all don't want to call him Dominican. True. I put the link there so I could get, so y'all could watch it yourself. Hold on, I'll give you a link. Let me check it. Watch the video yourself. Save the video and share it with your friends. Exactly, too. Right? Subriel Matias' father is Dominican. Subriel Matias' father is Dominican, not his mother. He said it already. It's true, right? When it comes to the, it's true, right? Eric Gomes, yo, when it comes with when the Mexicans were saying that he's not real Mexican, all right, so leave him to us. ¿Verdad? When it was that, yo, Canelo Alvarez doesn't want to face David Benavidez, right? They were saying he's not real Mexican. He wasn't talking about David Benavidez, that he wouldn't fight Mexicans because he's not real Mexican. He's real. So leave David Benavidez to us. I gotta talk to David Benavidez. Leave the Mexican flag. Don't worry. They remember how they played you, bro. Come to New York City. Stay on the Dominican side. And I'm gonna tell you like this. Let me put the picture up. That David Benavidez looks more Dominican than Mexican and Ecuadorian. Fernando. There you go. Mira. No, I have to put it. Mira. I got to put him when he's young. When Fernandito Villalona was young. We got to put when Fernandito Villalona was young. Right? Mira. Why? That this is David Benavidez. You gonna see who's there. Oh shit! Look at this. Yo, I'm a clown, bro. Look at it. Okay, I'll show you that David Benavidez is more Dominican than Mexican. Hold on, look at his dad, right? Hold on, wait. Give me a second. Wait. Hold on, check this out. Let me upload this picture. Hey, yo, look at Fernandito Villalona and David Benavidez, bro. Huh? Look at his dad right here, bro. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. He look more Dominican than anything, bro. Ese Fernandito Villalona. Look at David Benavidez. Son lo mismo, esa gente. ¿Ah? Oh, shit. You crazy? What is that singer's name? Fernando Villalona. He said stop. I'm telling you, bro. Fernando Villalona, the Dominican singer. That's his dad right there, bro. You crazy? He looks more Dominican than anything, bro. David Benavidez don't look no damn Mexican. How you motherfuckers are 6'3"? How many 6'3" Mexicans you know? How many 6'3" Mexicans you know? David Benavidez look like his grandfather, bro. The Dominican one. Fernandito Villalona is his grandfather. He said, Ralph, he said, no. He said you're so disrespectful. I ain't out there. Why are you being disrespectful? You crazy? Es que Rafi don't even know who Fernandito Villalona. What you think? I'm praising him. Mira este tigre. Look at this guy. He's saying I'm disrespectful. You crazy? Huh? If David Benavidez go to Dominican Republic and say I'm the son of Fernandito Villalona, they'll give him the red carpet, bro. You crazy? I'm respecting him. Yo. Hey, yo, Punch, that's true. Right? Right, J-Dog? If David Benavidez goes to the Dominican Republic right now and say, I am the son of Fernandito Villalona, man, he'll get the red carpet. As a matter of fact, they'll give him a crown, bro. They'll give him a crown. El nieto de Fernandito Villalona, David Benavidez, el boxeo. Yo, my man. The whole Dominican island, bro. If David Benavidez says and goes with the Dominican flag and say, I am Dominican, my goodness, the whole Washington Heights, Manhattan, New York City, the island of Dominican Republic, bro. El Afra, and then El Afra brings out David Benavidez with the Dominican flag. My goodness, he will be the biggest star in the East Coast. He don't even know what he's what's the word? Not avoiding, alienating. What is that the word? Yo, if El Afra, I'm telling you folks, let David Benavidez come with the Dominican flag and have El Afra. David Benavidez don't know how big he could be. Yo, my man, with his style. And David Benavidez know how to talk Spanish too and know how to talk trash. Yo, David Benavidez know how to talk Spanish, know how to talk trash, and know how to fight. Madison Square Garden, if he comes over here and show us love and show your own roots love, your own blood, come with the Dominican flag. The next fight of David Benavidez will sell out Madison Square Garden. He will sell out Madison Square Garden. I'm going to talk to his dad. The thing is, you know what it is? See, you can't approach his dad like that because his dad is Mexican. So he got the pride of Mexico. His dad is not going to like give in to Dominicans. But I got to talk to his dad. Be like, yo, my man, in August, go to the Dominican Festival, go to the Dominican Parade. Next fight, come with Dominican flag. Tú verás, mi hermano. You're going to see. And then call out Edgar Berlanga, Dominican, Puerto Rican in Madison Square Garden. David Benavidez versus Edgar Berlanga. Ay, Dios mío. Ay, Dios mío. Y'all don't know what y'all miss. Yo, David Benavidez, you don't know what you're missing. Mira, di que Mexican boxing. Mira, di que stomp punch. He's not yours anymore. No. He's not yours. David Benavidez is ours. He's not yours because when we were saying that David Benavidez is Mexican, but because you're a Canelo Alvarez fan, you said that David Benavidez was not Mexican. Y ahora he's yours, ¿verdad? Ahora he's yours porque yo te lo estoy quitando. Eres dominicano. He's not you. He look like Fernando Villalona. He don't look like a Mexican. He look like Dominican, okay? No, ahora ustedes lo quieren, ¿verdad? Porque ya sí how Canelo Alvarez is winding down. Hey, yo, mira estos mexicanos. Mira los mexicanos. Hey, yo, they see that Canelo Alvarez is on his way out and probably lose to Bud Crawford. They'll be embarrassed. You guys will run to David Benavidez and apologize. You go running and bend down to his knees and say, I'm sorry, David Benavidez, for not acknowledging that you are Mexican when I was a Canelo Alvarez fan. I'm sorry. No. David Benavidez, remember what these Mexicans were saying about you. Yo, David Benavidez, remember what these Mexicans were saying about you when it came to Canelo Alvarez, that you're not a real Mexican. Hey, yo, I'm going to tell you like this. David Benavidez felt so insulted. ¿Verdad? David Benavidez felt so insulted. Let's not forget that David Benavidez said that I just want to call myself El Monstruo, the monster, because if I say the Mexican monster and the Ecuadorian monster, he's like a alienated. He's not giving props to his other side, and y'all made him feel bad. Ustedes los mexicanos son malos con David Benavidez, ¿verdad? Right, fellas? The Mexicans treated David Benavidez bad just because he was calling out Canelo Alvarez, and y'all had the nerve to say that he's not a Mexican, and he wear the Mexican flag, the sombrero. Even he wears a sombrero. Canelo Alvarez don't even wear a sombrero. He wears a sombrero. La bandera roja. Huh? And you guys spit at his face, just like I did Oscar De La Hoya when he was about to fight Julio Cesar Chavez. Y'all don't respect David Benavidez, and that David Benavidez that's why he moved away from the East Coast, and he's moving to Miami. Y'all don't have respect for him. So now he's in the East Coast in Miami. But I'm telling David Benavidez, just make your way up to New York City and do it out. You're gonna see. When I see David Benavidez, I'm gonna tell him, I'm gonna go to Miami, and I'm gonna go to Boxar, and I'm gonna see David Benavidez. Yo, David Benavidez, you ever been to Washington Heights? You ever been to Dykeman? No. But you're a quarter Dominican. Yeah. You never been around Dominicans like that? Not really. Vamos. Just give me 1 week or 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks and I'll show you around. Come in July and be in New York City, and you're going to see the next fight you'll be with the Dominican flag. And he say, fuck that. I ain't the Dominican monster. The thing about David Benavidez, he was talking too much. Mexicans aren't supposed to go around talking too much. It made a Josue. You know why? You know why he was talking much? Because a lot of Mexicans was up the ass of Canelo Alvarez and didn't give him the benefit of the doubt. See, Mexicans really don't talk because the Mexican culture automatically supports their Mexican fighters. So they don't have to talk. That's why you never heard a Mexican talk trash, because Mexicans already support El Guerrero. The Mexicans did not support David Benavidez because they didn't like that David Benavidez was going after their poster boy, Canelo Alvarez. So rather than supporting David Benavidez and saying this is Mexican versus Mexicans, what y'all did to him, which I was doing to Oscar De La Hoya versus Julio Cesar Chavez, y'all was calling him a fake Mexican. But when Oscar De La Hoya was not fighting another Mexican fighter, you guys loved Oscar De La Hoya. You guys started to hate Oscar De La Hoya when he faced Julio Cesar Chavez and called him a fake Mexican. And then when he faced Fernando Vargas, y'all was more on the pure Mexicans was on the Fernando Vargas side because he came out with Julio Cesar Chavez. Let's not forget about that fight. That Julio Cesar Chavez was with Fernando Vargas, and that's why the 100%, not the Chicanos, the Mexicans was on Fernando Vargas' side, and y'all started calling Oscar De La Hoya fake Mexican again. No, let's not act. I love my Mexican boxing fans, but ustedes también son divided, ¿verdad? The Mexican fans are divided. We talk about a lot about Latinos and blacks and Mexicans and blacks, and you guys are divided too. You guys would tell another Mexican that he's not real Mexican, huh? When that fight, that was sad. That was sad. And you know what? Because of that divide is why I became. Because of that divide is the reason why I became a fan of Oscar De La Hoya. To be honest, folks, he wasn't one of my favorite. He wasn't my favorite fighter growing up. My three amigos, I used to call them my three amigos, was Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., and Pretty Boy Floyd. That was my three amigos. The Julio Cesar Chavez fight, when I was young and I seen the divide, I recognized myself with Oscar De La Hoya. You know why? Because in New York, they will call me a fake Dominican because I was born here. So the Dominicans that was born in the Dominican Republic will call the Dominicans that was born here fake Dominicans. So I had that how you say it? I related to Oscar De La Hoya. You know, you become a fan of athletes that you could relate to, right? Like me, I relate to Allen Iverson. You know what I'm saying? The street type. We was relatable. The street kids related to Allen Iverson. Just like a lot of street kids are fans of Gervonta Tank Davis because for some reason, they recognize with Gervonta Tank Davis more than they do with a Devin Haney that was born with a silver spoon, was born rich and stuff like that. With Gervonta Tank Davis, he's a street kid, so people relate to him more. People see him as the culture, right? So with Oscar De La Hoya as a Latino, if you really think about it, around that time, and this is when I interview Oscar De La Hoya, and I've said this to Oscar De La Hoya face to face. I said face to face. The first time Oscar De La Hoya hit me up, and he said, I like your channel. I like your channel. You're very smart. I would like to do an interview on your channel. When y'all see me interview Oscar De La Hoya, it's because Oscar De La Hoya reached out to me. I was wow. Like, if you would have put and you know what? That interview didn't even do 2K. To this day, that interview haven't done 2K. But if you would tell me what's the peak of punch run boxing, when one of the GOATs wants to do an interview with me, and Oscar De La Hoya don't go to any channel. Oscar De La Hoya do not go to any channel. You catch him in fight week, yeah, he'll do an interview there. But to take away from his time and give me almost 30 minutes. But, and I told Oscar De La Hoya around that time, if you really think about sports, there wasn't a representative of a Latino American. I'm not talking about ¿cómo se llama? Roberto Clemente, he's from Puerto Rico, right? Roberto Clemente, Salvador Sanchez from Mexico, Julio Cesar Chavez from Mexico, Latinos that was born over there. Even Manny Ramirez, my boy, he's born in Dominican Republic. Oscar De La Hoya was the first international Latino American. I'm a born American, but I'm a Dominican descent. But he was a representative of Latinos that get the you're not really Dominican, you're not really Dominican, you're not really Mexican, you're not really Puerto Rican, you're not really, because you gotta be born from there. So us American Latinos, we're like the stepchild of America. A black person will be like, I'm gonna give you an example. A black person will be like, what are you? You'd be like, I'm an American. Now you a Dominican. A Dominican would tell you, you're not Dominican, you American. So we're like in the middle, like nobody really wants us, right? You tell a Mexican, right? A Mexican that was born here, a Mexican would tell that Chicano, oh, you're not really Mexican, right? But then an American white or an American black would tell that Mexican he's Mexican. A Mexican would tell that Mexican that he's not Mexican. So the Americans would tell, for example, the American would tell Oscar De La Hoya that you're Mexican. The Mexicans would tell Oscar De La Hoya that you're American. It's like nobody wants you. But what about me? But no, you a fake Dominican. No, you're not real Dominican. The Americans will tell me I'm Dominican. I'm not American. Go. And they will tell me they can go get your banana boat. When I was young, the blacks used to be like, yo, you came in a banana boat. What's your green card? And I was born here. The blacks, when I used to go, of course, because the community is black and Latinos, the blacks used to tell me to go back to my country. It wasn't the whites. No, let's be real. See, this is the conversation that a lot of people don't want to have, because I live in a community and born in a community with the black and Latinos. The blacks were the ones to tell me, yo, you green card. Oh, you fucking hick. Oh, you came in a banana boat. It wasn't the white people. I wasn't raised in the block with the white people. It was the black people that was chastising the Latinos. That's what a lot of people don't want to talk about, because now people are going to get, but that's the real. Ask any Latinos, right? That was the thing. The blacks would tell the Latino, mira, look at you. I'm talking with an accent. Oh, you a hick. Oh, you came in a banana boat. You got a green card. To get eso era lo negro. I experienced that too. Look at Jackie Hernandez. I'm not talking crap. That's when, hey, yo, Jackie, that's when I be talking about the Latinos and blacks. The blacks be acting like they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but they know, because it's our community. We know we throw jabs at one another and stuff like that. That was their jabs to the Latinos, right? And then let's say the Dominicans. The Dominican would throw jab at me. Tú americano, tú cocolo, tú como cocolo. The Dominicans would say that I'm black. The Dominicans would be like, no, tú americano, I thought that you was black, but como if I look like you? The American Latinos is like the stepchild of America. Nobody really claims us. So that's how I became a fan of Oscar De La Hoya, because I saw the Mexicans turn their backs on Oscar de la Hoya when Oscar de la Hoya is waving the American flag and Mexican flag in the Olympics. When Oscar de la Hoya is coming out with the Mexican gear and Mexican songs, but the day he fought Julio Cesar Chavez, they said that he's a fake Mexican. He's not real Mexican, and y'all guys let that rock. And ask Oscar de la Hoya. I don't know if he ever said this publicly, but I've spoken to him. He said that was the worst feeling. That was one of the worst feelings of his life, that his own culture turned his back on him. I recognize that as a Dominican descent. When my Dominicans tell me that I'm not real Dominican, I recognize that. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I became a fan, really, of Oscar de la Hoya. Of course, the skills, but that's how I reckon I related to Oscar de la Hoya. Yeah, Frank. I've spoken to Oscar de la Hoya. Oscar de la Hoya told me that was one of the worst feelings he ever felt. Can you imagine a whole country that you love and the culture, that's your culture, and they turn their backs on you because the darling is Julio Cesar Chavez? And they turned their backs on him with Fernando Vargas. Y'all remember the build-up to those fights? Y'all remember the build-up? How they were shitting on Oscar de la Hoya being they called him a fake Mexican, bro. That shit was, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there is division also in Latinos. That's a thing that that Latinos sometimes don't like to talk about. There is division in the Latinos. There is a division within the Mexicans. There is a division, like, let's say Mexican, Dominican, and Puerto Rican. We are like stepbrothers. We like first cousins, but we're highly competitive. We talk the same language. We eat the same food, the same cuisine, rice, beans, everything we have, they have. We go to Dominicans go to the tradition of Dominicans coming to America is a Dominican will go to Puerto Rico, and from Puerto Rico we come to America. That's how Dominicans came here. They go from Puerto Rico and then they come to America. In the 70s, that's how they was coming to America. First they go to Puerto Rico. You make it to Puerto Rico, that was like an upgrade. For a Dominican, that was an upgrade going to Puerto Rico and then coming over here. And then coming over here, that's how they upgrade. So put it this way. What the Dominican is to Puerto Rico is really how the Haitians are to Dominicans. Am I right or wrong? You know what I'm saying? The Dominicans go to Puerto Rico to work. You know what I'm saying? If you go to Puerto Rico right now, even Puerto Ricans will tell you that the people that work the hardest in Puerto Rico are the Dominicans. And in the Dominican Republic, the people that work the hardest are the Haitians. They're the one that's doing the massive labor work. Just like the Mexicans, right? Really on the West Coast is what does all the work in America, in the West Coast, in California, Arizona, y toda esa vaina, right? So, punch my super chat. My bad, Christian. I ain't my bad. Christian Padilla, con los 5 pesos me dice. Truth is Chicanos, Mexican American accept and rock with David. Bam, Mexicans don't accept him. I'm Chicano and I'm proud both, so I know. Hey, yo, shout out to my Chicanos. Shout out to the Mexicans and Chicanos. But I know there's some, when it gets down and dirty, there is some divisions there. You know, when somebody tells you, when you know what's bad when you out there representing, that's like me. If somebody asks me right away, yes, I'm an American. I have an look, I have an American flag right here. I'm patriotic. I have an American flag on my neck. I'm highly patriotic. But my culture, my cuisine, the music, what I'm raised in the household is Dominican. You know what I'm saying? That's my culture in the house. From the cuisines, from the language, the morality and the principle is from my home, born and raised, is a Dominican culture. You know what I'm saying? That's what fed me. That's what makes this body. You know what I'm saying? Is the Dominican cuisine. That's my taste bud, is my Dominican food, is my taste bud. I could eat any other food, but when I want, when you ask me, if I was in death row and you ask me, I could have my last meal, it would be carne cerdo, and you got to make it good. Con arroz amarillo con andule, right? Y también cebollado, right? Beans on the side, and you know, in carne cerdo, you add little potato, the potato and shit like that. Right? Carne cerdo, cebollado. You know what I'm saying? Guisado, carne cerdo guisado, con cebolla y pieces de potato, de papa, moro con guandule, right? And bichuela on the side, just in case if I want to add some bichuela on the side, con potato salad, Dominican potato salad, the pink one that we put onions, beets, mayo, even a little bit of slice of apple, si puede, ahí mimito también. With also, I want a little cup of macaroni salad. Macaroni, you know that we put tuna fish on it, slice of peppers and a little bit slice of onion, you know what I'm saying? Con un refresco, con malta. And then put leche condensada. Who remember the leche condensada? The sweet leche that you put on there, you do a cake, and then you cut that, and then tú lo sopla, así mismo, tú lo sopla, so the other side of the milk, and then you make, yeah, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about that. They don't know nothing about that. Y'all know nothing about that. We can be from one country and on a different nation. That nation is the people, is the culture, is history. That's what the thing about Latinos is. Latinos, we are about culture. We're about culture, not about race. It's about culture. Like, we don't give a fuck about, we don't say black, white, all that shit. It's culture. It's culture. You know what I'm saying? Only Dominicans know about that. Con tres, lo sabe, míralo ahí. Míralo ahí, él lo sabe, Guido. Con tres leches. Míralo ahí, ¿verdad? He know what I'm talking about. Él lo sabe lo que estamos hablando. When you put it, you know, when you open the can, when you open the shit with that you open the beer, boom, you slice one, and in the other side you slice, you open it again, y tú lo sopla ahí, boom, and then you take a spoon and you shake it up. Come on, man. They know what we talking about, baby. They know what we talking about. That's my, when we go to, if I was in death row and I got my last meal, that would be my last meal. And I don't even eat pork like that, but pork will be part of my last meal, right? And roast pork, the type that my grandmama used to make for Thanksgiving. You remember when you make pork so good? See, I'm gonna tell you like this: Dominicans, we like for Thanksgiving, we like the pork better than the turkey. The pork is the turkey, I won't eat pork for a whole year. Like, since 2015, I really laid off the pork. Like, I could count how many times I've eaten pork like that. I don't eat pork because I went vegan one time 2015, and to this day I don't even drink milk like that, right? I drink almond milk, oat milk, the half almond and oat milk, coconut almond milk, you know what I'm saying? But roast pork, pernil, Jackie know what I'm talking about. That Thanksgiving pernil, and I'm talking about when you make it good, that juicy pernil. Man, the turkey, man, that shit is pushed to a side. People don't even eat the turkey. You go to a Thanksgiving, my mom, encebollado, la chuleta, chuleta, yes. Let me get 2 pieces of chuleta. Hey, yo, put it this way. When I went to Miami the other day, look, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't eat pork for real. But when I go to this Cuban restaurant, let me get the 2 pork encebollado con la salsa. I tell them, ponme salsa de pollo guisado around the rice with the black beans. Shit. Folks, it's nothing better. Hey, yo, it's nothing better than Dominican, Puerto Rican, and Cuban food. For me, yo me muero con esa comida. I need Thai food, Italian food, all that. But ain't nothing like Dominican food, man. Even the breakfast, bro. Even the breakfast. Mangú con los tres golpes. Mangú, you know what I get? Mangú with the pink onions. Mm? Let me get 3 eggs fried over easy. So I like the yellow gooey going around the mangú. And I say, let me get salsa de pollo guisado around or salsa de meat, the steak que tiene. But let me get salsa de pollo guisado around el mangú. I don't even see, but we know con los tres golpes, then you got salchichon, the fried tropical cheese. Ain't nothing better than Dominican food. I'm sorry, my friend. I ain't sorry. It's nothing better than Dominican food for me. Yo, every time, even when people be like universally, right? People know Mexican food, but they never once they taste Dominican food, they don't turn. You can't go back. Honestly. Even Jackie said, I honestly think I can't survive off just rice and habichuelas. Come on, man. You knowing that it gotta be some beans. Red beans, kidney red beans, and black beans. It gotta be something. It gotta be. Gotta be. Huh? Yo. That's how we got Plátano Power. Huh? Y que también, huh? You know, one food that I never got to really enjoy, but everybody loves is yuca. Yuca también. Or banana with instead of the mango, but la banana. You understand what I'm talking about? But man, ain't hey yo, even other ethnicity, bro. Even other hey yo, shout out to Tio Senior. I seen Tio Senior, right? And shout out to Teofimo Lopez. I seen them yesterday, right? And even Senior said, "Yo, yeah, I like to go uptown and get me Dominican foods." And he's Honduran. But even him, when they come to New York, when they be in New York, man, where is that? Where is that the food, or where is that? Because even the other they love the Dominican food, bro. Every ethnicity loves the Dominican food. You ask an Italian from New York, you like Dominican? Oh my God. Ask a Jamaican about Dominican food. You ask black people from the Dominican food. And you know what? Because we open 24/7 too. I'm team no meat. Vegan does it for me, but meat free since 2017. But let me say it like this, Rick Timms. I've been there before, but have you gone to VS Pop? Go to VS Pop, my brother. You vegan? You in New York City? I'm gonna tell you VS Pop, the best vegan, the Colombian Dominican restaurant. It looks like this. Look at this. Look, I'm gonna show you. You don't eat. I'll show you this. Mira, mi hermano. Right here, my friend. For you, my friend. Give me a second. Yo, you think that you eating chuleta when you go over here. Give me 1 second. I show you, my friend. Vamos a dar la comida. Espera. Where's the restaurant? Hold on. Míralo aquí. Give me 1 second. Mira eso, mira. Mira eso, mi hermano. Mira eso. Look at that, my friend. Look at that, my friend. That's vegan right there, my brother. This is the Colombian Dominican vegan restaurant. They moved to Brooklyn. He knows it. Remember, it used to be in St. Mark Street, right? They used to have 2, St. Mark Street and the one in Brooklyn. You know what I'm talking about. Mira eso, mira eso, mi gente. Mira eso. Mira eso. Ay. Look at that, my friend. Look at that. These beautiful. Oh, my goodness. Ay. Look at that. Ay. Look, I'm getting horny right there. I ain't getting horny right there, man. Yummy. But before the pandemic, that does. Hey, I'm telling you. Look at that. Look at that. Ay, 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 look at that. Mira, mira, Vic. Ay, 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 look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. Look at this. Ay, ay, ay. I'm getting horny for this. Mira esa comida. Yo, you check out the menu, right? And there's this thing that you actually think that you eating chuletas with arroz, habichuela. It tastes like it, bro. I'm telling you, man. Some team tacos. Italian food is good, of course, man. You know what it is? I like the boutique. It's almost like the I like the boutique Italian. I don't like the high traffic Italian food place because they cook it real fast. When you go to the little small, authentic Italian restaurant, when actually the chicken Alfredo tastes like something and it doesn't taste like a thick goo of grease. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I actually slowed down with the Italian foods. There's so many Italian restaurants, but it's high traffic. They don't cook it with sabor. You got to go to the little Italian restaurant. If it got to be expensive, make it expensive because the sauce, the pink sauce, the vodka sauce tastes different. I got tired of going to the Italian restaurant and I ordered some spaghetti carbonara and it just doesn't taste like nothing. And then you just feel like you eating spaghetti with thick with thick grease that doesn't taste like nothing. Yeah, like Little Italy now. You can't not anymore. That's too commercial now, right? That's too commercial. Go to a nice restaurant in Brooklyn, Queens, or go to the Bronx that's past Fordham and shit like that, like Little Italy in the Bronx. But Little Italy downtown, eso está quemado. That's it. It's too much tourists. They cook too much. Exactly. Go to Little Italy in the Bronx. Go to the Little Italy in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, but that little Italy downtown, that's it. That's fried. That's too commercial. They don't cook it with sabor anymore. That was back in the days when, you know what I'm saying, the mob and everything, you know, if you don't cook it well, they kill you. But now, Little Italy downtown, go to the Brooklyn Italian restaurants, go to the Bronx, Little Italy in the Bronx. Little Italy is better than my facts. See, we know. We know what we're talking about. We know what we're talking about. You know what killed off a lot of Italian pizza restaurants was Little Caesars. When Little Caesars came to the hood, all those authentic Italian restaurants had to close down. And I remember my Italian friend, he held it down. 107 between 175th, 176 and St. Nick was the best Italian pizza. The best Italian pizza, beef patty, all of that authentic. They had that business since the late 1960s. It went from the father to the son. Little Caesars came out. Yo, I remember I had a conversation and he started crying, bro. He said, yo, my family poor. They know how to speak. They know how to speak Spanish like Dominicans because they all grew up with us, right? They like how a community could turn their backs on us. Yo, Little Caesars opened up and everybody started going to that dry ass, whack ass piece of Little Caesars. To this day, I'm gonna be real. To this day, I never went to Little Caesars because how I felt, how my Italian brothers felt. Never till this day. When I look at Little Caesars, I hate Little Caesars, because Little Caesars drove away my favorite Italian restaurant from the hood. That they was ingrained in our community, bro. Ingrained. They used to give free pizzas to the public school, you know, at a certain day and certain time. They used the community, the hood turned their back. bro. It's not even, you know how people say black owned, black, is that the community just turned their backs on those that really cared about the community. Like, I'm gonna tell you the truth, the community used to be a community. The community used to be a community. Now, a commercial thing, you go to a 7-Eleven opens up and you start going to 7-Eleven, you forgot to go to La Bodega. Huh? You think I would trade in an Italian-made pizza? And sometime I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna make this nice. I'm gonna make this pizza from scratch. An Italian-made pizza con sabor, con mama Italy, and Papa Italy. Man, for a Little Caesar pizza. Mira, esa Little Caesar que se vaya para la mierda, eh. You crazy. I would never turn away my Italian pizza for a damn dick and Little Caesar. Esa porquería de microwave pizza. No, my community was never about fat. I'm gonna say like this: there's only two McDonald's, and we never went to McDonald's. Why would I go to McDonald's if I could go down the block to this little restaurant and give me a plate of rice, beans, chicken, rice, beans, steak, rice, beans, chicken, guandules, all that stuff with potato salad for $5.50 or $6? They get to go to the McDonald's. Made up, put the fuck out of here. I'm gonna tell you like this: Latino community, McDonald's and Taco Bells don't survive. Go outside of 125th, because that's a commercial. You ain't gonna find no Taco Bell and Chipotles in Spanish Harlem. We got enough authentic Latino restaurants that we don't eat no Taco Bell. We don't eat that bullshit. Domino's pizza. I don't even like Domino's pizza. We got Italian. Even in Fordham, one of the best pizza shops in Fordham, in Fordham and Grand Concourse, one of the best pizza in the fucking world. ¿Tú crees que yo voy a comer que Little Caesar? Esa porquería. Fuck out of here. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people do it with the fast food. I ordered Domino's 30 minutes ago. Has that order Domino's put it? Mira, Domino's que se vaya para la mierda. I don't like microwave food like that, man. Microwave food, man. I gotta be like that. See, that's why I can't. That's why I'd be like, yo, I want to move away from New York City. But when it comes to food, I'm a foodie. I'm a foodie, bro. Our restaurants is open 24/7. Y'all want to come to New York City? Go to 179th from Broadway, and the restaurant is open. Anything you want. Anything you want. You want pernil? You want chuletas? You want steak? You want fried chicken, oven chicken, roasted chicken? Anything you want. You want juice? They're gonna make you juice. We got black beans, red beans, guandule. You got moro, white rice, 24/7. ¿Tú crees que yo voy a ir para McDonald's? So give me a McChicken sandwich. Mala mierda, comete eso usted. My chicken sandwich no over here, my friend. He said, "Come to Providence, you eat good." Kevin Effect in the building. He said, exactly. If you want some real Italian food, you have to go to a mafia-owned ones. Facts. Because Italian, you don't cook that food good, man, that mobster will smack the chef and stuff like that. Exactly. And that's why the downtown Little Italy is washed up. It's no mas. You got to go to the Bronx Little Italy or Brooklyn Italian restaurants. That's where you're going to get the good food. That Manhattan Little Italy is garbage. Done. It's finished. If anybody from New York, you know what I'm talking about. They done already. That's for the tourists. Go, you want a sandwich? Man, these stupid idiots, they go to the Houston Street and go to the Ritz to buy a sandwich for $35. And there's some stupid that you can get the same sandwich right across the street from the deli. Stupid. Yo, well, I'll be in the city and I'm in Houston Street and they got a line, bro. Line to eat some Ritz, to eat the sandwich. Huh? That costs $35, $40. You go across the street, around the corner, go to the deli, they make you the same sandwich. Stupid, they'll go right there. Stupid, why you in the line, you stupid idiot? People are stupid. I don't know. People are stupid, my friend. Nigga, I don't know. It's not my... Nigga, you see people that get lined up when they have a little ice cream shop and they lined up around the corner. That's ice cream. Go to Mr. Softy. It's stupid that he's in the corner. ¿Qué tú estás esperando en esta línea, estúpido, maldito gringo? You're stupid. I mean, yo, people are dumb. Nigga waiting on fucking the line around the block for ice cream. Nigga, for 2 scoops of ice cream. Go to Mr. Softy, you stupid. Everybody love Costco pizza, Mr. Cats. Yeah. Nigga. Exactly. Nigga, people think cats. ¿Qué tú vas saying cats? Y esa mierda, nigga, the cats. Huh? These people paying $35, $40 for a cat sandwich that you could get for $6.50 around the corner. I mean, stay in the line. Stay in the line. Stay in the line. My man, hold But anyway, let's go back to boxing. Hold on. So, we was talking about earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, why? Shout out to Richardson Hitchins. Teofimo Lopez showed in the ring. Richardson Hitchins showed up. Did his thing versus George Kambosos. 8th round KO. Shout out to Richardson Hitchins, the junior welterweight IBF champion of the world. Teofimo Lopez stepped in the ring. Shook the hands of George Kambosos, his nemesis. Went to Richardson Hitchins, had a cordial conversation with him and the coach. You already know that Richardson Hitchins and Teofimo Lopez is managed by the same guy, Keith Connolly, one of the best managers in the sport of boxing. I like this fight. I think it's a good fight. I think it got great momentum. I think it got a better momentum than Teo and Haney. I think this fight has better momentum. Now, do we got a long storyline? No. But it has momentum. And I think boxing, I always say for the people, don't be a slave to the moment. Yeah, I understand that people only credit fighters for their last outing, right? What have you done for me lately? You're just as good as your last fight. So Richardson Hitchins is at his peak right now, and Teofimo Lopez is at his peak right now in terms of their last performances. So I think that this fight right here has a better momentum, a better fight with better momentum. Now, if you want to see a fight that we've been talking about for a long time, yes, a Devin Haney and a Teofimo Lopez is a fight that still needs to happen of this young generation because they're from the same class. They're highly accomplished. But if you're talking about a fight, not a promo, not to see a promo, I want to see what Bill was going to say to senior, and I want to see the trash talk. No. Devin Haney and Teo as a fight doesn't have the momentum because Devin Haney just didn't show up. He got the W, but it's just as bad as a loss. You know what I'm saying? When you got the dude that's flooding all the money, is saying that he don't want runners. You got a petition. No running rule, and you're the face of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a good momentum. That's just as bad as a loss. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a win for Devin Haney. It didn't gain him anything, to be honest. It didn't gain him more respect. It actually gave him more questions. There's more questions with Devin Haney. They got the PST, what is the PSDS, PSTD, something like that. People not saying that he's still not over that Ryan Garcia loss. It looked like that. It did look like he was fighting scared, but he got the nod. But I don't think a lot of people nobody really liked the performance. But they did like Teofimo Lopez performance, and they liked the Richardson Hitchins performance. This is a unification bout in the 140-pound division. Teofimo Lopez is still a champion and the lineal champion in the 140-pound division, the king right now. And Richardson Hitchins is the second best in the 140-pound division. Both of these guys have credible resume at 140. right? The victory over George Kambosos, he was not a 140 pounder. He coming up, right? But it's a name that is linked to the guys of Devin Haney and Teo and Loma and stuff like that. So of course, Richardson Hitchins was gauging his performance with these guys. Richardson Hitchins did beat Liam Pyro. Liam Pyro did beat the guy that was supposed to be the boogeyman of the division and Matias. So Richardson Hitchins has two credible opponents and two noticeable wins with good opponents in their respective division, right? Teofimo Lopez beat Sando Martin, who retired Mikey Garcia. He beat Arnold Barbosa, who was a top 5 140 pounder. And probably Arnold Barbosa had the better momentum going into the fight, even in terms of opponent. Even Arnold Barbosa had a better momentum than Teofimo Lopez heading into their fight, because Teofimo Lopez beat Steve Claggett, and then he beat Jermaine Ortiz. But a lot of people didn't like the performance because Jermaine Ortiz was running like crazy, but they blamed it on Teo for not cutting the ring. You know what I'm saying? People do hate Teo. Like, they blame Teo for not cutting the ring, and then they like to blame Haney and William Skull for running, but they don't blame Jermaine Ortiz for. It's weird. It's weird when it comes to Teofimo Lopez. I think that y'all would be hating Jermaine Ortiz for running, but y'all hate Teofimo Lopez because he wanted to fight. But then y'all hate Devin Haney for running, and y'all hate Shakur Stevenson for running, and y'all hate William Skull for running, but y'all love Jermaine Ortiz for running and hate Teofimo Lopez because he was trying to fight. Shit is backwards when it comes to Teofimo Lopez. I'm telling you. Y'all be hating Teofimo Lopez too much for no reason. But this is a great fight. New York, BK. And I think this is a good fight. I think the momentum is here. I think that this is just as lucrative, maybe not more lucrative. I think this is a fight that, if Teofimo Lopez is going to get $11 million to face Jerome Bruce Ennis, I think that Turkey Al Sheikh, who wants to see action, if he was watching this fight, Richardson Hitchins is a free agent right now. We've seen that Keith Connolly locked down a good payday for Edgar Berlanga, who is also his client, without a promotional. I think that Keith Connolly, if he could get all his fighters lined up. Okay, look at this, folks. This is how smart Keith Connolly is. It could be a pro and it could be a con, because I'm not sure how long Turkey is going to be here. But if Keith Connolly spoke to Turkey Al Sheikh and say, you know what, hold off on this Devin Haney fight. This is a better matchup and this is a better entertaining fight, right? You was already going to give my client $11 million for Jerome Bruce Ennis. You was willing to give my client $8 million to face Devin Haney, right? You didn't like how Devin Haney performed because you said that you don't like no runners and stuff like that. Whatever. How much? Maybe the same money that they was going to give Teofimo Lopez for Devin Haney. Now that we've seen the performance of Richardson Hitchins, Keith Connolly could go back to the table with Turkey Al Sheikh and say, now this is the fight. Thank you for the offer of Devin Haney, but my client probably don't want to fight Devin Haney, but this is more of a legacy fight. It's a unification bout. It's not a catchweight. So I think right now, as much as we've been talking about Teo versus Devin, for the last week, Teofimo Lopez said he had options, and as you can see, he does have options. Now, Keith Connolly don't have to go around promoters. He just could bring this too, because Top Rank don't have to do nothing with Teofimo Lopez. You've seen Teofimo Lopez stepping inside the ring. He's on the zone. He's wearing the PBC hat. So they already have an understanding that they will no longer promote Teofimo Lopez, but Teofimo Lopez is still under contract and is still going to give his promotional fee to Top Rank, but he wants the freedom to do whatever he want to do. So there's an understanding with Keith Connolly, Teofimo Lopez. They're already with giving him the 15%, whatever percentage is. That's the hit that he's willing to take. And now, yes, HLD Connolly is the active promoter for both these fighters. I know that Eddie Hearn is mad because what happened with the Edgar Berlanga is not going to happen with Richardson Hitchins, but Eddie Hearn got to be real. You know what I'm saying? As a promoter, when a fighter loses, look at this. I like Eddie Hearn as a promoter, but when Eddie Hearn is butthurt, you know what I'm saying? Eddie Hearn, you don't have to be butthurt. This is the business. Because when you signed Subriel Matias, hold on, let me take the picture out so I can show my face. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Hearn is butthurt that Keith Connolly, the manager of Richardson, Hitchins, and Edgar Berlanga, is already letting them know we don't need Eddie Hearn. We don't need Eddie Hearn, and we don't need Eddie Hearn. I'm working already making deals with Turkey Al Sheikh. I didn't need a Top Rank to make the deal, to almost secure the deal with Teo and this 3-fight deal, the potential Boots fight, the potential Devin Haney fight, or whatever, that tournament. You know what I'm saying? So Keith Connolly, why would he want to let his fighter sign another promotional contract? I don't know why Eddie Hearn is tight. He said that Eddie Hearn, he said that Richardson Hitchins are with snakes. He didn't want to mention Keith Connolly because he didn't want to get sued. But then later on in that interview, he said promoters, right? Let me see if I could go to that interview, see I could listen what Eddie Hearn had to say about Richardson Hitchins becoming a free agent. Let me see. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me see if I could. Let me see. All right. Listen to Eddie Hearn.
He spoke in the ring after about being a free agent because kind of looked at your face and he didn't look too happy.
Yeah, I did feel disrespected because it's not him. It's just dogs around him that put things like, I mean, there is no loyalty in boxing. You've got to look after yourself. But when someone has come in, when you were on the floor, and, you know, I remember when I first met Richardson Hitchins, I mean, the door of his car was falling off. And to be honest, I've spent a lot of money and invested in a young man that I really respect and admire. And I've boxed him at Madison Square Garden. I've headlined him in Orlando when we really didn't sell any tickets and we lost a lot of money. I kept with it. I headlined him in Las Vegas, where, again, we didn't sell many tickets and we lost money. Then I paid for him to get the opportunity to fight Liam Paro for the world title. Then I paid up for a big opponent in George Kambosos, paid up for the big homecoming in New York. But Richardson is a very good kid. He's just got some snakes around him. And those snakes will make you feel like they're your guy. But the reality is they're bloodsuckers who actually, certain individuals, take a bigger percentage or the same percentage as the promoter that's bankrolling you.
Okay. Eddie Hearn is butthurt. Eddie Hearn Eddie Hearn is butthurt. And Eddie Hearn, as a promoter, I'm gonna give you an example. Eddie Hearn signed Subriel Matias for a 3-fight deal. As soon as Subriel Matias lost his first fight, what did the promoter do? What did Eddie Hearn do? When Subriel Matias signed a 3-fight deal with Eddie Hearn, Subriel Matias signed a 3-fight deal with Eddie Hearn. Subriel Matias lost his first fight. What did Matchroom Boxing did to Subriel Matias? You said Matias wanted out. No, Matias ain't wanted out. They kicked that ass out. He kicked it. They don't want to tell the truth. They dropped Subriel Matias. They dropped Subriel Matias. Because in contracts in the sport of boxing, if you lose with any contract, a promoter has the veto to terminate that contract if you lose. That's what happened. They dropped him. So, talking about loyalty and all that stuff, there is no loyalty in boxing. It's business, right? And why would Richardson Hitchins sign to a promoter, even though yes, Eddie Hearn played his part, but it's contract. You didn't get, see, this is what it is. You didn't get Richardson Hitchins to sign the extension, just like you didn't get Edgar Berlanga to sign the extension. So you're calling these guys snakes. They're not snake. They just doing business. You feel like you've put in a lot of effort for Richardson Hitchins, and you think that everybody is going to be like Anthony Joshua. You have a friendship with Anthony Joshua, but in all reality, Anthony Joshua don't need Eddie Hearn. You're lucky that Anthony Joshua is keeping Eddie Hearn around, because we all know Anthony Joshua could just do deals straight with Turkey Al Sheikh. Anthony Joshua don't need Eddie Hearn. Anthony Joshua already got his management company that signed fighters like Ben Whitaker. You know what I'm saying? We all saw also Eddie Hearn when he got Canelo Alvarez. He pushed a lot of people aside that he wasn't promoting anymore. Soon as you got Canelo Alvarez, you barely even did even. Yo, you know what's effed up in my opinion is that you the promoter of. I'm gonna give you an example, and I know y'all gonna hate this because you guys never want to give me the benefit of the doubt when I mention his name. But we're talking about Eddie Hearn. When Eddie Hearn's fighter is Demetrius Andre. When Demetrius Andre is calling out Canelo Alvarez, Eddie Hearn as his promoter, what Canelo is supposed to say. So Canelo Alvarez, would you fight Demetrius Andre? That's a fight that we need to make. You know what Eddie Hearn did? He didn't open his mouth, and he let the security kick out Demetrius Andre and his dad. As a promoter, that's your fighter, my brother. That's your fighter. It's time to promote the biggest fight right here. You're supposed to promote the biggest fight. I think when he started working with Canelo, Eddie Hearn lost his way, but he gained it a little bit more. It's still business. It's still business. If Keith Connolly is already doing business straight away with the excellency, is the reason why he didn't need Edgar Berlanga to sign another deal with Matchroom Boxing. Look where Edgar Berlanga is at right now. He's headlining a New York card, and he didn't even win a champion. He headlining with Shiraz. Why do I need Eddie Hearn? Why do my fighter needs to take another percentage off? That was a good move by Keith Connolly. Now, this time around, now Turkey Al Sheikh, I'm presenting you Teo and my other fighter, Richardson Hitchins. They don't need another promoter taking the cut. And I'm going to say this. To be honest, I don't think he could say that he signed Richardson Hitchins, and he could say, this is my opinion. I like Eddie Hearn. He's one of my favorite promoters. He was one of my favorite promoters, right? I like the way that he promotes his fighter when he got his fight. I like the way that he goes out there, be the mouthpiece and things of that nature. But let's be real, let's be honest. He didn't sign George Kambosos because he felt that there was a potential fight with him and Richardson Hitchins. He signed George Kambosos because there was a potential fight in Australia for Liam Paro versus George Kambosos. I don't think that he thought that Richardson Hitchins after the Lemos fight was going to be Liam Paro. He knew that Richardson Hitchins, like he said, leading up to the Lemos fight, that he was already couldn't make the 140-pound weight. He didn't think that Richardson Hitchins was going to perform like that versus Liam Paro, like the way that, because of how Liam Paro did versus Subir Matias. The whole talk was about Liam Paro, and then after this fight going to Australia, that's why they signed George Kambosos, because they thought they was going to get a big fight with Liam Paro versus George Kambosos. That's why they gave an easy fight with George Kambosos, because the buildup was Liam Paro and George Kambosos. That was the idea. It was not going to be like George Kambosos versus Richardson Hitchins. That wasn't the idea to sign George Kambosos. The idea was to make a mega fight in Australia with two Australian fighters. So, oh shit, he lost. Fuck. We got to do something with George Kambosos. Damn, we signed him. Fuck. All right, let's put him up against Richardson Hitchins. That's what it was. It wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be George Kambosos and Richardson Hitchins. Me. With the father of the super chat. Happy Fathers. Feliz de los Padres. Good looking out, man. Appreciate you. Happy Father's Day as well. Turkey is not a promoter. He's a financer. You still need a promoter to run the event. Yeah, but the fighter doesn't get the fighter. is not paying the promotional percentage. You know, a promotional Optimus Prime, a promotional percentage could be 20%. See, that's the PBC model. For example, Gervonta Tank Davis is going to be fighting Lamar Roach. TGB Tom Brown is the promoter of the show, but they're not paying 20%. Like, they're not signed to Tom Brown. You know what I'm saying? They working as they just both hiring a guy that's going to be the promoter of the event, but they're not the promoter of the fighter. And yes, Turkey has its own promoter in Celis. Yes, in the Reha season, exactly HLD. They don't need Eddie Hearn. But hey, that's on you, Eddie Hearn. You guys are getting played by Turkey. You got blinded by the money, and I know I could see it in Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn woke up already. Eddie Hearn, Oscar de la Hoya, they woke up. They woke up already. Now they you know what they're saying? Damn, we should have done what Al Heyman did. It wasn't worth it. All the money, yeah, but it wasn't worth it for a company. See, the thing is, this is where Turkey, I believe, dropped the ball. He did it too early. Turkey Al-Sheikh was outspoken, and he did it too early. With this Canelo and Bud Crawford, that fight right there, he exposed himself with that. TKO, belts don't matter. Let's bring in Dana White. Turkey Al-Sheikh exposed himself too early. If he would have waited another year and keep on doing what he's doing, he would have had them all be like this. Now they waking up. Oscar de la Hoya. You think that Oscar de la Hoya, his last video that he did 6 minutes was really about Eddie Reynoso? Was really about he was throwing indirect shots at Turkey Al-Sheikh. That video was indirect shots at Turkey Al-Sheikh. It wasn't. He was, Canelo, Oscar de la Hoya said this about, no. He was throwing an indirect shot. He knows that Turkey Al-Sheikh was sweeping the rug under the feet of all these promoters. And Eddie Hearn, Oscar de la Hoya, PBC, Golden Boy Promotions is going to emerge. Top Rank has to emerge with PBC. They have to emerge. They all have to emerge together because his money is not going. Remember, Turkey Al-Sheikh is not here for boxing. Turkey Al-Sheikh is here to build his country to be an entertainment. Las Vegas is not necessarily for boxing. There's going to be a time that the Prince is no longer going to throw money in boxing. He's going to tell Turkey Al-Sheikh, no more boxing. We're going to another sport. That's it. And that's it. Yeah, exactly. They already woke up. And I've been saying this since day one. People was calling me a hater. No, I like Turkey Al-Sheikh for most of the thing he's done in the sport of boxing and putting some great shows, putting up some great matchups and stuff like that. But I knew it was everybody has an end game. And it was not really because he wanted to bring everybody together. No, he didn't want to bring everybody together, kumbaya. He wanted to bring everybody together so he could control everybody. What does he tell the fighters? He tell the fighters, believe your middleman. I want to speak directly to you. He didn't want to speak to David Benavidez' representative. He want to speak to David Benavidez man to man so he could tell him his plan. Canelo Alvarez, come to my country. I don't want to talk to no middleman. I don't need you to come over here. I want to talk strictly to you man to man and tell you how is it going to be. I don't want you to come here with Al Heyman, or I don't want to talk to anybody, your representative. I want to talk directly to you. That's how he does business. He wants to keep all the middlemen now, control them. And you throw them a little money. Everybody is a lot of these. This is a business. It's prize fighting. So all these promoters just, oh shit, I'm gonna get this fight. I don't even need to pay these fighters. All I'm gonna get a percentage away from them. And look at that. Even go to both promotions. Jose Ramirez lost, Arnold Barbosa lost, and Ryan Garcia lost. All in one day. Kid Austin didn't fight. Virgil Ortiz almost going to lose. Imagine if Virgil Ortiz, all that money that was pumped up by Golden Boy Promotion, was going to lose to Boychuk. out of all people. I'd rather have Virgil Ortiz losing to the likes of a Jamel Charlo or Fundura or for even a Boots Ennis, because that's a fight that we've been talking about. But damn, he would have lost all that shit for a Boacha. But I think now this is a fight to present. Now, what we were talking about earlier, I'm going to ask a question again. Help me out, folks. Why is this man right here being heavily avoided? Why is this man right here? Why people acting like this man right here doesn't exist? This man right here is very well equipped to beat anybody at 140, anybody coming up from 135, and anybody at 147. He's the kryptonite to Jerome Boots Ennis. Why is this man avoided? Why is this man treated like Bud Crawford, how PBC telecast was treating Bud Crawford? Why this guy is being ghosted like in 160 pound and 168 or 160 when people was talking about Demetrius Andre? He's getting treated like he doesn't exist. I know it's not because Puello already passed. But Puello probably barely lost his last fight with Sando Martin. He's a champion. He's a champion. Entertaining fighter, speed, power, athleticism. The guy, the kryptonite to the Jerome Boots Ennis that was beating them in the amateurs. The guy that's the kryptonite. He's the man that kept Richardson Hitchins just shouldn't be calling out Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. He should be calling out this potential rematch. This is a rivalry of Richardson Hitchins. This is a rivalry for the people. Again, I'm gonna put it again. Y'all don't know y'all don't know this rivalry. Hold on, let me put it like this. This man, Gary Antuanne Russell. Gary Antuanne Russell was beating Jerome Boots Ennis. That's his daddy. We like to call that Andy. We like to say that Keyshawn Davis is Andy Ruiz's. That Andy Ruiz is Keyshawn Davis' daddy. Gary Antuanne Russell is Jerome Boots Ennis and Richardson Hitchins' daddy. Gary Antuanne Russell is Jerome Boots Ennis and Richardson Hitchins' daddy, if y'all like to say that Andy Cruz is the daddy of Keyshawn Davis. He's the champion. Unification bout. Beat Richardson Hitchins in the Olympic trials, and then Richardson Hitchins couldn't fight for USA. He went to Haiti to represent Haiti, and then Gary Antuanne Russell beat him in the Olympics. Anywhere that Richardson Hitchins went to accomplish, Gary Antuanne Russell was there to stop it. Leading up to the Olympic trials, leading up to become Olympian, this man beat Jerome Boots Ennis and Richardson Hitchins. This is the daddy right here. If anybody want to call anybody daddy, pause. This is the daddy right here. People is reluctant to say his name because everybody knows him. Hitchins know him. Tio knows him. Devin knows him. Ryan knows him. Virgil knows him. But Virgil's at 154. Boots know him. Shakur knows him. Everybody knows him. This guy was the man. This guy was the #1 fighter in America. Alongside with Tio and Shakur. Because Shakur won the Olympic trial, Teofimo Lopez won the USA Olympic trial, and Gary Antuanne Russell won the USA Olympic trial. But Tio don't even mention Tweezy's name like that to a potential fight. I know they're friends, but Tio don't give a damn about friendship when it comes to legacy. Tio versus Gary Antuanne Russell should be a fight. If it's for legacy, see, Teofimo Lopez, when he was talking to Bill Haney, he said, I'm here for legacy. Teofimo Lopez Sr. said, we here about integrity. We don't care about the money. We here for belts. We here for belts. Let's not forget what Teofimo said. Devin Haney got nothing to offer Teofimo. You got to perform and bring something to the table. You got to bring legacy. What are you going to give me? So Gary Antuanne Russell performed very, very good versus Rayo, and he got a strap. Richardson Hitchins performed very, very well with George Kambosos, and he got a strap. Gary Antuanne versus Richardson Hitchins and Gary Antuanne Russell versus Teofimo Lopez. Now I want to know why the hell these independent media and the zone commentators do not bring the boogeyman's name. And this ain't no diss on anybody, because all of them give props to Gary Antuanne Russell. Teo always give props to Gary Antuanne Russell. Richardson Hitchins know exactly who Gary Antuanne Russell is. Boots Ennis never want to mention Gary Antuanne Russell. Bill Haney, Devin Haney, Devin don't even respond to a Gary Antuanne Russell. And Bill Haney, he got mad at Ness for even mentioning Gary Antuanne Russell. And just like I know when Teofimo Lopez is on and hitting on all cylinders, it's hard to beat Teo. Nobody could beat Teo. But you know what? When Gary Antuanne Russell was hitting at all cylinders, I used to think at 140, Gary Antuanne Russell versus Teofimo Lopez is the best. I'm talking about the fight. Forget about the promo. Forget about people talking shit. Forget about all of that. I always felt, I was shocked that he did lose to Puello, but I always stated, when everybody's healthy, working on all, the one that was going to give Teo run for his money at 140, in my opinion, was always Gary Antuanne Russell. And now that Richardson Hitchins has come to the championship level and is a champion in his own right, Richardson Hitchins versus Gary Antuanne Russell was the rivalry that we need to see. And we should keep on mentioning this man's name, because strategically, the powers that be know that this is the biggest risk of everybody's career. Gary Antuanne Russell is the biggest risk for Teo, the biggest risk at 140, the biggest risk for Richardson Hitchins, vice versa. Teo is the biggest risk for Gary Antuanne, Richardson Hitchins is the big, but I'm just saying, Gary Antuanne Russell is the biggest risk. And because he's the biggest risk and he doesn't have a promoter, he doesn't have a mouthpiece, they're going to do the same thing to Gary Antuanne Russell what they did to Demetrius Andre. And if it wasn't for Eddie Hearn, they would have done the same thing to Jerome Boots Ennis. Because why? Why face Jerome Boots Ennis? You don't think that if Jerome Boots Ennis is now with Eddie Hearn at 154, people would avoid Jerome Boots Ennis? He said, "Rip Russell, old man. Russell has stunned his growth as a boxer, fighting by fighting as often as Sturman at such a young age." But right now, he's a champ. That was the last time he fought. Let's see. And he was injured. He had surgery too. Hold on, let me see. Last fight he had was March. Last time he fought was March. Right? He's been fighting one a year. He fought 2023 once, fought one time in 2024, fought one time in 25. This far, it's still early. It's still early. Can we put Gary Antuanne Russell in a miss? Come on, stop it. Please, stop it. Deja eso, ya se acabó el narrative, okay? It's finished, my brother. It's done, all right? Please, stop holding on to a weak narrative already. Subriel Matias is still the boogeyman. Mírate, tigre. That, stop, all right? Deja la vaina ya, con ustedes. Because I remember when I was talking about Subriel Matias, after he lost to Liam Paru, everybody disappeared, bro. All the channels, even the new Puerto Rican channel disappeared. They used to make videos of me. They disappeared. Deja la vaina con de que Subriel Matias is still the boogeyman. Deja la vaina, ya. Que estoy harto de esa vaina. No. G Money. Russell needs a better promoter. No. He needs for us to speak loud for him. He don't need another promoter. We all know who he is. And they know who he is. And the commentators know who he is. The DAZN commentator didn't even want to mention his name. He's doing a bad job. I forgot what's his name, but he did that to certain fighters. He need to stop doing that shit in the poll. He need to do his job, man. What's his name? The one that does the post-fight interviews. He need to do his job, bro. The 140-pound division is a stacked division. And the champions is highly competitive. You match him up, it's competitive. You match him up. Because even Puello is a good fighter. And even if Subriel Matias beat Puello, then the Subriel Matias, Subriel Matias, Teo, Subriel Matias, Puello, it's competitive, bro. So no, man. Let's not give that an excuse. Everybody know who Gary Antuanne Russell is. If everybody say that nobody knows him, then everybody knows him. He said Africa still. Yo, why? Come on, be a fan of boxing. Come on, guys. He said Africa still ducking Matias, but he think he's something major against him. No, he beat the guy that beat Matias, my brother. He beat the guy that beat Matias. Be a boxing fan. Be real. What happens if Matias grabs the WBC strap in July? Then he grabs the WBC. Good. I think it's a good fight. But as of right now, come on, man. Subriel is the one that hasn't done nothing special yet. He's the one that hasn't beaten anybody yet. Bobby, he said Turkey should take the 140 champions and have. I think so. And I'm going to tell you like this. Nobody is boring at 140 right now. Gary Russell is not boring. Teo was not boring. Richardson Hitchins showed that he's not boring, that he's not in the lane of Haney and Shakur. No, ese tigre pelea. Ese tigre pelea ahora. Ese Richardson Hitchins pelea. Subriel Matias is exciting. Puello is a good polished boxer. I am Boricua, but please don't mention Matias. Santiago. But anyway, folks, let's cut this one. I hope everybody having a great Father's Day weekend and all that, man. Hopefully everybody's doing good. Hopefully everybody spend their time and people did things for you as a father or whatever, man. Shout out to all the kiddos. Shout out to all the real fathers out there, man. Keep on being a good father. And for all the fathers, all the men, let's keep on striving to be righteous. Let's be the extension of God so the women and our children follow us, because that's why we are the representative of God. He made us in his image. We got to be the extension of God so our women and our children can follow. You already know God first, God in man over woman, woman over children. If you are a righteous man, follow the principle. At least, I mean, we imperfect, but when you strive to be a God-fearing man, righteousness is a woman nature to follow that righteous man. Women ain't gonna follow no loser. Women would naturally follow a righteous man. So the way the society is moving, the society is wanted to eliminate real men. Society and government want to eliminate fathers out the household to take advantage of all women, just like the serpent had to do with the first woman in the world. You know what I'm saying? But yo, for the fathers out there, man, keep on doing your thing. For the men that took care of another man's responsibility, shout out to those fathers. Shout out to those fathers and those men as well. For the deadbeat dads, F you. You know what I'm saying? To the deadbeat dads, F you. You a scum of the earth. If you don't take care of your kids, knowing that you were supposed to take care of those, and they walking around knowing you're their father and you don't do nothing about it, man, for real, man, you're a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm glad that I have my pops in my life. I'm glad and that I'll be able to take that what my father did for us, and being there as a father, I could be there for my children as well. If you haven't seen your kids and don't fight for your kids, I suggest you start doing it now. I know that drama baby mamas, you know what I'm saying, vindictive baby mamas will make it tough on you. You know what I'm saying? But keep on fighting for your kids and let them know that you're always going to be there. You know what I'm saying? Pick them up from school here and there. Pick them up. Just show your face. Show your kids that you're fighting to get them. Even though that you can't get them, show your kids that you're fighting to get them. And they're always going to know keep tabs on it, you know? So, and shout out to the women that also allow the fathers to be there, to don't get away into the fatherhood and the relationship of their kids, just to help it, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Don't make it harder on fathers and men, you know, just because you're not together. Shout out to those women that push their feelings to a side and still work to be a great to be a great team to take care of your kids. Y'all already know, man. Father's Day should be every day. Mother's Day should be every day. Loving God should be every day. Y'all already know, man. God first, everything second. Fight plus survive equals true champions. Where sons and daughters, brothers and sisters are the most high. There's only one race, the human race. What makes us beautiful is that we're the buffet of heaven. The cultural differences is what makes us beautiful. Y'all already know, man. Invest in having a personal relationship with God. That's the best investment. That's the best opinion I could give you. Love y'all. God bless. And on to the next.